How's that?
Good evening.
How's that? Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
Good. Good work. Good work.
I'm, yeah, I had another
Okay.
string of parts last night. I actually should. Well,
Uh,
actually, I recorded it in what I sent to you, but I realized, oh, there's a string of parts. So I wrote them down this morning.
well, I've been watching while doing the red light, watching uh, some of your latest. So
Are
it's
they
wonderful.
okay?
You're great.
Oh, good. Okay.
Absolutely great. No, it's one of the strengths that you may or may not know this, but one of your strengths is you're so very matter of fact, you're not you've embraced this, so you're just putting it out there. So it's just such a powerful
Not
testimony.
preachy or.
It's absolutely it's stellar. No, really.
Well, good. That's good to know. No, my computer, my laptop that I've
Yeah.
been working on, I'm waiting for news on the other one. Um, it's been starting to do very strange things. And so I started before I sit down, I'll say a prayer. And the first time I did that, I had no issues and each time for like 2 days, I'll do a prayer before I start. But then on the third day, I did the prayer before I started, and then in the middle it started screwing up. And so I thought, okay, I'm gonna say a prayer in it right now. And John, literally, I can take my hands off of it and it will be moving and doing stuff. And I'm like, okay, so there's interference here, obviously. And so I said a prayer right then and there. And I addressed it to the powers, the principalities, and the spiritual wickedness in high places, that they be, I bind you, surround this with hedges of protection, the whole thing. And then I just looked in the camera and I said, for whoever, if this is a human being out there messing with me, I pray that you find redemption, that you repent. God comes into your life, you repent, you find redemption, and you get out of whatever job you're doing. And I said, and if you're already reprobate and twisted, I pray God send you to hell swiftly. And it all stopped, John. It all stopped. And then the next day, the same thing. I addressed it the same way, and it stopped. So it's like, thank you, Jesus. I'm just tripped out. And then every day I've been praying for the computer that
Uh,
I shipped out to be non-repairable and get a refund.
yeah.
I actually started looking for a Mac. I'm going to get a Mac. I was wondering what type of Mac that you have. I don't know if you have any issues.
I haven't had any issues. So I think we just got the top of the line, whatever it
That's
is.
what I'm going to do, whatever it costs. Hopefully, I get the refund and I'll just put that towards it and spend a little more. And so, yeah, that's been real interesting.
Diana, when you're working on this, can you unplug yourself from the internet? I hadn't thought of that either, but
Um, I suppose I could. I just
I mean,
turn
that would
off
be one
the,
way to find out if it's some person.
yeah.
That just
That's-
came to mind right now.
Yeah, I never thought of that. I know the one time I turned my modem off, it was quite a nightmare to get it back on again. They called the company and all that, but I guess there's probably a switch on here where I could tell it to turn off or disengage or whatever, but
So,
there's no
um,
wire that's connecting to my laptop. It's just going to the modem and I'm receiving Wi-Fi. So, but most of the time when I do the parts work, the biggest, well, I shouldn't say the biggest, but a big chunk of work is going on Google and looking for images. First I
yeah,
get their old part image and then, because first I get their name, then we pick old part image. Once we do that for everybody, then I say, okay, are you ready for new names? They
yes,
always
yes,
are. So I
that's
go
right.
on to a website and say, show me names. And they glance through and pick, we pick, 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 pick. And then after that, I'm looking for new parts images. And so that's it takes a while to do that. But once I'm done with that, yeah, I don't really need it anymore. And it's just the Excel documents that I work with. So I give that a shot because it's always when I'm in Excel that it's doing it, and when I'm in Excel filling everything out
Yeah.
is when I start, because I'm sitting there, okay, Jane Doe, that this is where you are in the timeline, and this is what your intensity was, and then I start doing the health checklist. Well, what body part issues do you have? And were you MK Ultra? And it's a lot of mental energy. It
Yeah.
really is. I was kind of fried on Saturday. So, but yeah, I'll give that a shot. That might work. And I also today, Chris has two stands that you put a laptop on, little riser thing. Because I thought, well, maybe it's just getting hot from sitting here on the desk for 8 hours working. So I've got it on a stand now. So we'll see if that's a factor or not. But I was just because it's got a touchpad. And at first I thought, well, maybe my thumb brushed it or something. But now I just take my hands off and I'll watch it move and add a formula or
Oh,
yeah, it's literally doing things. And I'm constantly saving like every couple of minutes now because I'm worried I'm going to lose something. It's pretty interesting. So anyway,
golly.
I have anxiety.
No,
So I
no.
guess I'll start with the journals.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Bring us.
So the 25th. Oh yeah, so Nicole,
That screensaver picture right there, that's probably a pretty, isn't that's a very apropos picture for parts, right? When you
yeah,
start off,
I
you don't
never
want to
thought
tell
about it.
people.
It just scrolls through different
Yeah,
images through
I
the
know, but
day.
all of a sudden I saw it and I thought, you know what?
Yeah,
That's
you're right. I didn't even think about it.
start off easy, but yeah, off to a great
Yes.
go.
I don't know if I read this one to you, but it's Nicola's group. Now, Nicola was, her old name was New Kid. Mom divorced dad. We're now in Iowa, and I start school. That girl befriends me, and I go over to her house for a sleepover. So I had listed all her parts and did all the charts and graphs. And so now I'm doing the health notes. And so I'm going to do this all the time now is just dictate whatever they tell me because I wish I had done this from the start. But anyway, so Frost, which is, I guess, let me just introduce you to the lineup. I guess I shouldn't call it lineup.
Well, it's a team. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So we're what, 12 or 13? I'm in seventh grade, just starting high school. Okay, so okay. Uh,
oh, that's beautiful the way you've got that staggered.
I'm doing it that way for everybody. Okay, so here they are. So we start with Nicola. She's the new kid. We go for the sleepover. Flip, it's time, meaning her dad comes and wakes me up, startles us awake.
Yeah,
And then we walk to the barn, get sexually abused, then demonically abused, I suppose you could call that, the wonder of wonders, and then Joker, walking back to the house. That should be joke. Um, so that's the lineup for this group. And I decided I'm gonna put the incident in its own individual colors.
that's great. Yeah,
Yellow just means obviously they have issues, pump, they have many parts yet to be disclosed.
there we go.
And if it's on the left, it's because it doesn't have a lineup because it was a positive experience.
Yeah.
And then I also, there's whole different color codings. So,
And you gave it a 4, and I was like, it doesn't that show you what you went through, that a positive experience is a 4.
yeah,
That
yeah.
would be a depressing day for most people.
Oh, really? No.
Right?
So I just put health notes for Nicola's group because I'll do them all at the same time. I'll do them individually line by line, but then I'll realize, oh, well, the first half didn't have an issue with their back, but once this abuse happened, now they're back. And so the next set of people have. So health notes, Frost could smell dinner that was made and tasted. I think something was put in her food. Christine's father was grabbing her ass at the dinner table. Her mom and siblings saw it too and smiled. That
Unbelievable.
was a new bit of information. Flip was startled awake along with Christine. Her father said, "It's time." We both got up to go out with him, and she said, "Oh, I'll catch up with you." He winked at her. He and I walked out there alone, and she never did come. She betrayed me. Faye had to walk in the dark to the barn. She could hear the farm animals and smell them. That is when Christine's dad grabbed one of her boobs. So Fisher and Felix were in the dark, but could hear the farm animals and smell them. So Fisher and Felix were the ones in the barn. But now she could also taste the men in her mouth, and her jaw became sore as well as her neck and butt from being slapped. And her knees were sore from being on her knees as well as her vagina, anus, mouth, and breasts. Fox can now see walking back to the house because it was the crack of dawn. The animals were quiet. There's no more smell, but her mouth tastes awful. Her jaw and neck hurt as well as her butt was sore from being smacked a lot. Of course, there was sleep deprivation, exertion, and it was chilly. Trigger words and symbols were used. And so that all comes from the checklist. So I have that open. I should show you. So yeah, we're just going through. Oh, see, what's happened? Oh, I'm in the wrong place. When, yeah, here. And I need to left, right these guys as well. But that's what happens when I start going through here. Oh, so now the abuse happens and all of you have problems, and they'll say, oh, okay, on the walk back, I didn't. So just that's how that comes about. This is sexual parts, so I can tell how things start and move along, you know what I
I
mean?
know. That's right. That's right.
So that's been interesting now that I'm dictating it while I'll like finish this body issue section and just, okay, what did they just tell me? Or I'll do it while they're telling me. And then I do the same thing with the MK Ultra and the spiritual. And so that's really interesting. And I added something here to New Life, tour of the house.
Oh, good for you.
Didn't have that on there. So when I get to this page, I say, okay, we got the new name, new picture, new clothes. Let's stop and go take a break. We're going to walk around the house, and I do a whole tour of the house and explain everything. Sometimes they want to open a drawer or open a cupboard, and so I do that. So that's a new
That's
addition.
outstanding, Diana. I'm so glad you added that.
I mean, and yeah, I was doing it before, but it never dawned on me. Oh, I should check it off and make sure.
And that's one of the most practical things somebody can do for themselves, because
Yeah.
ultimately that's what matters, to bring everything to the present.
Well, and start off saying, okay, everybody, we're here. You just told me your story. You're fit,
There you go.
we're about to get into your physical issues and stuff. I said, come here, be with me, be safe, look through my eyes, touch with my hands. Let's take a tour through the house. And then we do that. We get to, okay, let's sit down. Now let's get into the nitty gritty. So I
There you go.
think it's like a trust builder step. So anyway, and so that's where I got this sleep deprivation, chilly trigger words and symbols. Now if they can remember what those are, I will note them down, but they did just like, yeah, it's time is a trigger word, yeehaw is a trigger word. And yeah, they had different symbols on the walls and all that. So now we're to Win and Wiley. Now this was, I'm sorry, guys, I know that you're a part of Wolf, but they didn't reveal till after I did the whole lineup.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, there were two extra parts. Remember I told you Wolf Pack, and then we had to watch movies. And that was like the training area time. And these are backwards. I
Oh,
gotta
I remember. I
switch
remember.
these
Sorry about
around. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
realized, oh geez, I didn't put you guys in here, so I went and added them.
Okay. I thought that was part of the barn incident, but no.
No, no, this was the dog
Right, right.
teeth thing. The health checklist indicates eyes, ears, nose, mouth, jaw, neck, throat, nails, backs, hips, legs, knees, feet from being in the cage. Now, the nails, I believe, was from scratching and being nervous and biting them. And, the eyes, ears was from the videos being played. Um, Mouth, jaw, and neck. Wow, I'm not sure what that is because they're in the cage and they're just stuck there. I don't know what, I guess maybe that I'm not sure now. I should have.
As far as why that would be a part of it,
Yeah, I probably should have said, well, why your mouth? Why your jaw? Why your neck?
you wonder if something was put in their mouth or something was,
Well, maybe a muzzle. Wow.
or
Oh, so mouth, jaw.
they may let you know
I
because
think, well, that just got put in my head, so I'll add it. Thank you guys.
jaw, muzzle.
Mouth, jaw. Yeah. They were hungry and cold, exhausted, sleep deprivation, their eyes and ears hurt from, the noise, the constant noise and the constant visual. And concentration were affected by the movies playing so loudly and so long. So now it's bedtime for me. Manifest.
I'm sorry for interrupting. It just occurred to me. If you could go back,
Sure.
I'm just thinking what's happening in the general culture with the pride stuff, and we see all these guys dressed up as dogs, as pup play kind of
Oh,
stuff.
I know. Yeah.
How many survivors of this must be triggered now watching this kind of crap?
I thought the same thing when I was looking for images for them. And I was like, because the image I found for, I think it was collar and leash, was actually of a man with his girlfriend, or his sex slave, I should say. They're in a mall
There, yeah,
and she's posing for pictures and she's literally on her knees with her hands up like
yep,
this,
yep.
uh, pretending to be
And
a dog.
they're
And they're in
pushing
a
it in,
mall taking pictures of
and
this.
they're pushing it in schools.
Oh yeah, to be a dog or a cat or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So, and then I had wrote down this part name two or three times as I was reading my old journals while I was doing my videos. And I was like, well, what are you? Who are you? Where are you in time? And I didn't get anything. And so this finally cleared up for me. Manifest is telling me that he is the one that dried my car out that time it was soaking wet. Dried it out in like 15 minutes. Now, this was at Crystal Dreams with Star, and it was raining. And, and I had left my car window open.
Oh, okay.
And so my whole driver's seat just got soaked. I mean, it was a heavy downpour for quite some time. I didn't realize my window was open.
Yeah.
And I went out there to sit down, obviously to sit down to leave, and realized it was just soaking wet. So I couldn't sit in it, obviously. And I went back and I remember walking out of the car and saying, I don't know what was going on in the world, but I just said, please, God, please, if you could just dry this out as soon as possible, I would just be so grateful. I was like stressed out. And I went back in the store for, I think, 10 or 15 minutes. And I came back out, John, and it was bone dry. And
Really?
and I didn't remember until yesterday that that was God
Mhm.
answering a prayer. And I realized it at the time, and it scared me. It scared me. And I was like, I was thankful, I was grateful. I remember saying, wow, thank you. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that's even
Oh,
possible.
talk about a fleece, right? The story of Gideon and the fleece. You got a seat.
And I was like, and yesterday, the day before, when I was recording his part, I was scared. I didn't know I could do that, and he realized it was God that did it. He didn't know he could call on God
Yeah.
and do that, and I was like, wow. Crystal Dreams raining, dried in 15 minutes. And it was soaked. It was soaked. I remember thinking this will take days or weeks to dry out. And I'll have to put 6 inches of towels on there or something. And it was bone dry.
Well, the Lord did it for Gideon, so he did it for you.
I don't know that story. So
Oh, okay. That in the book of Judges, um, Gideon is being asked to assemble an army to go against
I
the
did read
ruling
Judges.
group
Yeah.
of the day in the Philistines. And Gideon, they don't have any weapons, and so
Yeah.
God tells Gideon, you know, I think he introduces him, "Hello, oh mighty man of God," and he's looking around like, "What do you?" And so Gideon starts to become persuaded that the Lord's asking him to do it. So Gideon says, "Can I just double check?" And so Gideon says, "Tell you what." So he's talking to God, and he says, "If I take this sheepskin, this fleece, and put it out there, put it outside, and in the morning, if you could make it the
Yes,
ground
that's
wet,"
right.
and he inverted it twice. So, or he reversed it. So whenever you hear, "I'm going to put out a fleece," so Gideon asked the impossible. So, Lord, when I wake up in the morning, make it so that all the
One and
ground is dry, but the thing is soaked. And
yeah, yeah.
right, but that wasn't enough because God was asking him to do a
I
pretty.
remember that now. I
There
did.
you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So God dried your car seat out.
Yeah, I was blown out, and I remember it scared me. So that was manifest. And he's at a 5 because I remember being so overjoyed as well. But I think it was the realizing the power of God and being fearful of it.
Now the fear of the Lord.
And I think it was around it had to have been the astral projection
See,
time.
and Diana, that's why the Lord's going to use you in a very significant way. To whom much is given, much is required, but also to whom much, you went through much, but you have, um, and it comes out when you are having your TED talk and you keep telling whoever it is that you're beating the tar out of that God wins, you address Satan sometimes. And just like you said, right? What would freak most people out? Something's on your bed. You just say, "Get out of." So
Oh,
you
that
have,
reminds me.
yeah,
Last night, as I was going to bed, I lay on my side and I started feeling this tingling on like my hip thigh area, the top. And I thought, was that a body memory? What's going on? And it started growing and getting bigger. And I could tell that it was coming from the outside, trying to get in my body. It was like moving into my body. And I realized, no, that's a demon. And so I just said, in the name of Jesus, leave my house. In the name of Jesus, I said it once. And it kind of left, but then came back like a minute later. And so I said it again like 3 times. And I said, in the name of Jesus, leave this house immediately. I bind you. I don't know what I said all sorts of things. I said, you are not allowed here. This is Jesus turf. You're not allowed. And blew it off. And when it came back the second time, it was even bigger. And I just got to thinking, I thought, wow, I wonder if that's what happens when people are drifting off to sleep and then they have that sleep paralysis stuff going on.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Nathan Reynolds talked about that he has friends that he talks to that has sleep paralysis a lot, and he's trying to help them with that. And I was like, but yeah, came last night again after messing with my computer during the day, or whoever, whatever it was. Anyway, so and then so Manifest he said he's also telling me that he's the one that got me that boyfriend while I was at Crystal Dreams, that boy that I have a picture of that has on the moccasin boots. Because I remember thinking I think it was like a new age thing where people were so, oh, visualize what you want and
Yeah.
this and that and whatever. And so I did that. And it was basically casting a spell. So now that I realize it, manifest is, well, no, this was asking God for something. And this was like casting a spell. So I wonder if he was trying to cast a spell, and I don't know. Now I'm confused. I thought that this was God helping. I know that this was said it scared me, the power of God. Unless a demon did it for me, but I don't think so. I felt the
That'd
presence
probably
of,
be the Lord, but then, so are you talking about manifest is also the one that,
yeah, it's the same thing.
it was probably out of his lack of knowledge. So he's doing what he can do. Um, but
Yeah, so I just remember thinking about it, and then all of a sudden, the next day or two, this guy comes in, and I wind up being his girlfriend for a little while. He was
yeah.
a new age guy.
So I think in the midst of all that, the Lord still was breaking in, trying to help you see that
Yeah, yeah,
not
because I was around witches, and they were casting spells, and I always thought it was kind of ridiculous with the candles, and I'm like, really? Nah,
yeah, that's right. The
I was kind of,
theatrics, right? The
yeah,
theatrics.
yeah. I said he is the one that always got me a job that paid more than the one before, but uh, because I had had regular jobs and then I would quit and try something on my own, something new agey. It wouldn't work out, and then I have to go get another regular job. And I would always get a one with just a little bit higher pay raise. And then same thing, back and forth my whole life. And then Manifest is telling me that he works with spirit, not wizzy, so meaning God, not witchcraft. And I said, thank you for telling me all of that, Manifest. And then I was drifting off, and then all of a sudden I just saw 3 or 4 men running towards and past me. They were like, I think it was a military scenario, like like you would be marching and you go from a march to a run and they'll say double time, march,
Oh
and you
yeah.
start running. So I'm gonna put military double time. I didn't know that until right now.
Is it when you were an adult in the actual military or when you were a kid?
I don't know. I just know that they were running past me, like on a road. So it could
Oh,
have been, I don't know. I'm getting the vibe that this is the dog man stuff.
because if they're running past you, are you hiding while they're running past?
I
Or are
was
they,
wondering that too. I was wondering that too because I'm from a low angle and
yeah.
they're coming past on a road. So I'm at a low angle. Yeah, and they didn't see me, so maybe I was hiding. I don't know. And then I started drifting off, and then again, Poppy's like, "Oh, well, here's what happened." I'd go downstairs and see the chair, disassociate. I'd have to sit in the chair. Dad would tape my wrists and ankles, disassociate. Then he would pull out the pin, and I found the pin.
You found it.
Yeah, the images. Let me show you that. So I, I have like 80 pages that are like 6 parts on each, or more than that. It's so many, so
You're,
many. Yeah,
oh,
here. Oh, 57 pages. So 57 times 6. Um, but I need to find, so F, let me look for pins. Yeah, I have to do searches now because, oh shoot, that's Juliet, because I have 1,700 pages. So here's pins. Here is the pin that he would use, something very close to this. They come in gold and silver. My part's like, no, it was a silver one. And he would take it and flip it upside down so his hand, it's like his pinky finger could rest in that hook part and hold that one side, and he'd kind of bend it out a little bit, and that's what he would use to pin me. But I think it was something that he got from his job because the edge of it was much more razor sharp than that. It wasn't, that's very blunt. This was more tapered, something that he could just jam in my skin. It could go in my skin maybe, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 millimeters, but not enough I mean, it would draw blood, but not dripping blood or anything. And I don't know if I told you, but in my life, when I was in my teens and early 20s, I had a wart right here, right? I mean, a wart right there. And so through my life, as you're reaching and grabbing and touching, it would always get irritated or hurt. So if you hit a wart, it hurts. One day that just magically disappeared. Is that the right hand? There's the tiniest little scar. I think the scar's even gone. No, no, there it is. One that just magically disappeared, John, and it appeared on my wrist
oh gosh.
right there. And so again, as you're moving and going through life, you bang it, you hit it, you whatever. So it's this constant reinforcement of pain in that area. So around 20, I think this one disappeared, popped up here. This lasted until I was about 30. This one disappeared one day, popped up on the top of my thigh, right? And that is still there. And it took me, I used compound W on it it took me like a decade to figure out, oh, duh, put compound W on it. And the only thing I couldn't get rid of it, but I could take, it was probably 2, 3 millimeters tall. It's very large and probably between a quarter and a half an inch diameter. It's a large wart. And so finally, I think when I was with Chris, it dawned on me, oh, duh, use compound W. And I did that for like 6 months. And all I was ever able to do is get it to it's as smooth as my skin now, but the wart is still there. And I realized when I remembered this memory with the pins, that's where Dad would jam me when I was a little girl. My hand would be up on the chair like this, and he would jam the pin in that finger. Then, as I got bigger and my arms got longer, and my hands uh, moved off so my hands were dangling off the arm of the chair, then he used my wrist. Then at some point, he switched to my leg. And I think it was a program for each different decade of my life to have that as an irritant to constantly reinforce forgetting. Right. And then when I'm with Chris and I feel safe, I'm 50 years old. Now I'm finally realizing, oh, duh, let's get rid of the wart. So I think it was programmed like a psychosomatic
That's right.
program of some sort. I don't know.
Wow.
So, but it was very similar to this. It was large enough for his whole hand to be wrapped around it. And so he could put he'd have a handle with this type of pin and be able to push it down. So yeah, I think all I typed into Google was a very large pin, like 3 or 4 inch long pin. And as
What,
I'm scrolling,
what's the purpose of this, the actual picture? Well,
I
who made?
think it's for drapes and curtains and such.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, yeah. So that was, I should put, well, the part name pins, this was the part that originally presented all those months ago. And she's saying, here's where I am in the lineup. So yeah, the pin is the visual trigger, but that's where my name comes from. He's sticking pins in me. Because I thought, well, is this part named Pin and you're two separate parts? And she goes, no, that's me. That's pins. And so when he would be putting the pin in me, he would be reading off cards, and I would clench my jaw because it hurt from the pin. He'd read the cards. I'd be clenching my jaw, trying to answer questions.
Oh gosh. You remember what he was reading? What?
I vaguely. Then he would read out of the Bible, which I said, well, should this part name be Bible? They're like, no, he called it a book. It wasn't a Bible, it was a book. I'm like, okay. Then after he'd get done doing his programming with the pins, the cards, and the Bible, he would say, he'd put his cheek by my face and say, give me a kiss. Right? So the trauma bonding. Aren't I such a great dad or whatever? And then he would digitally rape me. My foot would start shaking again as a distraction. See, now doesn't that feel good? And then and then after that was all done, he would tear the tape off my arms and wrists. Actually, I think I have this in the reverse order. And he would take his fingers and he would smell it and go, and put it by my nose, make me smell myself on his fingers and say, now, doesn't that smell good? And they'd say, okay, go ahead and run upstairs. So as I'm doing or yeah, so she ran down the list of parts, and then she starts telling me, she said, my wrists, ankles, and shoulders and chest were taped to the chair. One time, Dad stuck a pin in me, and my knees and thighs kind of moved back and forth, and I happened to hit his balls. He was furious, and to teach me a lesson, that's when he brought out the bag and put it over my head. That's when Sage was born. It was later that he put weed smoke in it and told me that it would be good for me. It was just to make me docile. After that, he also taped my knees. So I'm going between two parts, which is pins, stretch with the electrocution, and Sage with the smothering, right? And so these three parts are showing me how they all interacted and interplayed. Dad started off with the chair. It was if I was not cooperative, then he would make me hang from the ceiling and electrocute me. Sometimes he would even ask me what I wanted, the chair or the straps, meaning the straps from the ceiling. I always picked the chair. He would smile. But again, if I got rebellious, even with the weed, then he would make me go and hang from the ceiling and electrocute me. Now, this is shotgun talking here. Um, because Dad would get me high to keep me cooperative. I think I got to a point where I refused to answer questions. Said I would shake my foot back and forth as a distraction on the chair. And now this is me talking. I got up to have a cigarette. After he was done with certain set of questioning from those cards, then he would ask me to give him a kiss on the cheek. That wasn't he such a great father. He would use the pins with the SRA cards. he would use the Bible when he digitally raped me. If I was too resistant, I would either have to switch to Sophia and be electrocuted, or he would put a bag over my head and I would have to be sage and be smothered. Pins was about training from the cards in the Bible. Sophia and Sage were about punishment if I got rebellious. And I would get rebellious by not answering at all. One time I spit on him. That really enraged him. I knew I was going to get it bad, but I didn't care. He electrocuted me right there in the vagina on the chair with his cattle prod. He said, "That will teach you." When I was little, he used to pick me up and put me on top of his workbench. Sophia would have to walk over, put my wrists in the straps, and walk off the table. One time I kicked the box of cards off the table. He was pissed that they were not in order. After a while, I got too big for him to pick me up. It was then that I knew that I could refuse to get up there and do it. So he relied more on the bag with the smoke on it and smothering me. He would put the bag over my head and smother me until my whole body, I should put in here, um, well, I'll just put her here, Sage. So they're all kind of talking because they were interwoven.
Danny,
Uh,
can I go back, or can we go back?
sure, yeah.
Yeah, would walk over, put my wrist,
Sophia was the one that got electrocuted. She
put
was
my
the one called Stretch.
walk off the table. What do you mean by walk off the table?
Well, his workbench was like, well, it's a workbench, maybe 4 or 5 feet long against the wall. He would put me up on his workbench, and the straps would be strapped to like the plumbing pipes up there. Because when
Yeah.
I was little, I didn't weigh that much. So I would just put my arms in it and then have to walk myself off the edge of the bench to where there was nothing and basically walk myself into torture.
Okay, that's what I was.
Yeah, he had me,
Yeah.
and if I didn't, he would, I guess the beginning he was like, "No, keep going," and because I was resistant. I'm like, "Well, I no,
You know,
I know what's going to happen. I don't want to do this," and so he would have to start to force me, and I believe that's when he got the idea about the weed. I think it all happened about the same time period. Oh, well, of course she's going to be, the first time you don't know what's going on, but the next time you do, and you're like, well, no. And so I think he would get me high, and that's where, shotgun was here, wherever I put him in here. I just typed him in, I don't remember. And so I would be stoned and more less resistant, I guess.
so these guys, it just, I don't know. I obviously know what I'm about to say, but it really hit me. The news is
But they
we're
make
walking.
you initiate your own. That's what when Melissa was interviewing me about the business in the lodge, and I was saying, well, they'd have this like Sunday school area, and they would make us stack the chairs and roll up the rug and get ready. And I forget how Melissa phrased it, but she said, so you basically she was saying, so your perpetrators were having you prepare for your own abuse, something
Yeah.
along that line. And I went, yes. So
Well,
it's the
then,
same idea. He
yeah,
had me
yeah.
prepare for him to torture me.
But here's also what I was thinking is just right, try to wrap one's mind around a psychopath. And so these guys have kids. They have no ounce of human kindness. They have, so it's much more preferable for them to be able to impregnate their wife, have her have a kid, because
Hmm.
now you have constant access to this kid.
I think that's exactly what my dad did. He didn't love her.
Yeah, because the likelihood, quote unquote, if you do it right, okay, meaning if you abuse the kid in such a way that the kid's never going to talk, you have constant and regular access, it's less risky than getting a foster kid or a kid across.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It
Well, and I
really,
think for my dad, it was a big coup for him to have to get a Christian woman. Mom was, oh, I gotta call Aunt Sylvia and ask her again what their religion was. But I think when mom was living with them when she was in before she was 12 or something, they were a Christian religion, and then when her biological mother got custody of her again around 14, she became Catholic with them. And so I think it was a big coup for for a Satanist to get a Christian godly woman and turn them.
yeah.
And so I think that's why he picked my mom,
Was-
because my
Well,
mom was just head over heels for him. I read her records from, she kept a type of a small journal when she was 18-ish and she met my dad. And there's just like maybe 4 or 5 different one-line entries. But you could tell she was head over heels for him in these
how,
five
how much
sentences.
older, how much older was your dad than your mom?
Just 2 years.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. So Sage. So I'm becoming resistant. He's getting me high. I'm so resistant. He would put the bag over my head and smother me until my whole body was fighting. Now, keep in mind that my wrists and chest, and I'll show you the chair. I found the chair. Very, 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 very close to this. I typed in 1970s waiting room chair. And there was several versions, but it was something very close to this. It had padded back arms, but it was just this simple little office chair. I wouldn't even call that an office chair. I realized, no, it's something you put in a waiting room. And that's how I was able to find it. So he'd strap my chest to the back here, my wrists obviously there, my ankles there, and then after I hit him in the balls with my knee, he would tape my knees back too. So I'm taped here, 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 and here. And it was duct tape. So I got the chair, the tape, the pin. Oh, geez, this is wrong. Chair, tape. This should say, oh, because the part that would see the pin, Dad would hold it in his hand and get it ready. And I would disassociate just seeing that. Then he would approach me and do his thing. And at the time I couldn't find a person's tape to a chair like that. So but that was the clenched jaw from being stuck with that pin. This was the original guardian for that whole thing. So yeah, that's pins oh, and then he would do the cards.
Now let me go back just for a second. Sorry. You have pins for both
I
parts.
know, I realized that this
Okay.
should say
Are you getting a
pin.
sense right now? Is
Well,
that's
this part is pin, and then this is pins with a Z
oh, so
because
that'll
we're
be
getting, yeah, because this is just seeing the
yeah,
pin,
yeah.
freaking out, knowing what's coming. And then this is actually feeling the pins, over
Okay,
and
I'm sorry.
over
I'm
and
staring at
over.
I'm so right to think if you didn't have parts, you'd be dead or insane. So here I'm not even seeing, okay, that's Poppy. That's and who is Pin? I'm sorry about that. Sorry, I
So,
got
and all
held
these parts wanted their name to
that
start with.
wasn't that too funny, Diana? I'm so focused on what's happening to you, I'm not even seeing the name of the new part. So
No, no, all
apologies to
of these
everybody.
parts,
Oh,
I asked
yeah,
them, I
yeah.
said, I
Okay.
think the other parts in my head, the IQ and the organizer and the paperwork part have made an agreement with all the other parts. Okay. Well, now since you're revealing in groups, pick it one letter you want your name to begin with, and as a group, you will all begin with that because it'll be easier on Diana.
Are they okay with that?
Yeah, yeah, so
Okay,
far,
that's funny.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
So these, and so pins, she says, well, pins have it start with a Z. So all of these start with a Z. Zion, Zuri, Zelda,
Oh, I gotcha.
and then Zaylee. So there's the cards. Clench, Zayd. Yeah, this is where I was clenching my jaw and not answering. The Bible. I remember he had paper and pen and notes. Um, he would want me to kiss his cheek. And I picked this one because she doesn't look very enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, no,
And
that's
he
right.
would make me kiss his actual cheek. And he looks all, he got a weird look on his face.
Oh,
So then the fingers with the rape, um, and then my foot twiddling
oh,
and him, oh yeah, I forgot. This came as I was doing it. He would put his forehead to mine as he was doing the digital rape, and then he would put his finger and smell me on him and then have it sniff his finger that raped me, says it smells good, has me smell it. And then he would tear the tape off and he would tell me to go upstairs. And it was always darkish and the stairs kind of, I was thrilled to go upstairs, but it was also nervous to me. And I realized, okay, so this is an indication of the next incident. So this is where now these guys all have different lettered names, which was I can't keep track of them because of it. But this was when Stretch revealed her series of incidents with the hanging off the thing, and you and I went over this already. And so then this leads down into the new incident here. I need to find labels for that. Where, okay, he's approaching me with the bag. He pulls out the bags. Then he's coming towards me and putting it over my head. Now I'm, have smoke and I'm starting to suck all the air in. And now I'm fighting to breathe. And now I'm beginning to smother and I'm convulsing and slamming my head backwards. And then he comes at me with a knife, and I'm thinking he's going to kill me, right? But what he does is cut a little hole. Look at
oh,
it. Can you imagine? I found all these pictures.
oh gosh.
And then once that's done, I have imagined this bag is still over my face, but I have the hole there, and all this wet, sweaty plastic bag is, I called it sweat skin. Because I had this plastic skin, and all I could do is breathe through my mouth and answer questions, and then finally he takes it off. I get back my breath fully. Now I'm enraged and I'm just furious. Now he takes the bag off and I get the cool down. I start in my mind, I'm wishing him dead. And then he tells me to go upstairs, but instead of running up there, now I'm walking and cursing him and asking God to put him in hell. And then, the next incident where we get our dog. So that's the
Let me-
lineup of parts. And
This
now
came,
these parts always wanted to start with the N.
okay. This came to mind, not that I don't, in having you walk me through that, this came to mind. So let me just ask. Um, because you called it the sweat skin. Um, you know, nothing surprised. The more you continue to tell me what these guys did, right? Nothing surprised. I mean, nothing it's so satanic.
I know. It's
It's a
just, it's
satanic
beyond depraved. There's
creativity,
no
right? Okay,
word
okay.
for it.
So let me ask this. Do you ever remember a time where
Oh,
you were
goodness.
forced to wear a human face skin?
Mm, no, just because that bag would just become my
I
skin.
was
And I
wondering,
was,
is that in preparation for,
yeah, I
having
honestly I don't
something
know.
else?
I
Not
know.
that not that it minimizes anything. I just thought I wonder, like, as they're
As I
doing
called it
this,
sweat skin. Yeah.
as they're
No, I
doing
don't
this
think
thing,
so.
it's just there's nothing.
I'm trying to, well, I guess I'll share again. I don't have,
Oh, I
oh,
remember. Okay, maybe part of that was as you were in the meat packing plant and you went up on the roof, you remember seeing that guy in a human skin.
yeah, yeah.
They didn't force you to have to. Not that, right? That's the only thing they.
No, no, I don't think so. No, my parts are saying no.
Oh boy, boy, oh boy.
Yeah. So anyway, he would put the bag over my smother me, and then when I was gasping with my head hanging over the back of the chair, he would cut a hole in my mouth. So as I'm going through making the bio pages, I realized, oh yeah, I remembered seeing, and he would come at me with a knife like this. It's not like he was holding it sideways. Okay, let me cut it open. He did that intentionally to be intimidating.
Yeah.
So, that's why I picked that picture. He would leave the bag on. It would be stuck to my face filled with sweat. He could see that I was enraged. He liked that. He wanted that. He would intentionally rape me and or alternately read from the Bible or from the SRA cards. So my neck hurts right now, and it's been hurting since I recorded this. I would be convulsing my head backwards and forwards until I was just hanging on to life. After I got my breath back, he could see how enraged I was. He smirked and continued. So now we go back to Poppy. That was Sage. After he raped me with his fingers, he would smell them and say that I smelled sweet, so good. Then he would put his fingers to my nose and say, "Doesn't that smell good?" I never liked the smell of it at all. It repulsed me. Once he put them in my mouth and I bit him. That pissed him off too. He slapped me and then put the bag on. So I think Poppy's telling me the moment that first bag first started. I know that mom was out like a light with whatever drug he gave her. I'm just wondering if Angie and Mary heard anything. He would stuff a rag in my mouth. Had to have been asleep, but I wonder if they woke up from time to time.
Yeah.
Because, well, that part of the basement was under the kitchen. So the bedrooms were on the other half of the house. So I don't know. I was just wondering. I'd like to remember what the card said that he read to me or the Bible verses. I wonder if I could buy a box of those cards. So I'm just thinking now. I think Dad hurt his back and that's why he couldn't pick me up. It lasted for a long time too. His back and then time is passing here. His back got hurt from me wiggling around and struggling one time when he tried to pick me up. He couldn't do anything that night. He sent me up to my room. That's when I got the idea to resist him more.
Yeah.
It was shortly after that that he sent me to School Sisters of Notre Dame because he knew he was losing control of me. And then I started thinking about the part, Wiley, because it was the same day I did those two extra parts, the wolf pack and the movies. And then I realized, well, I wore eyeglasses since kindergarten. How could I go hunting without eyeglasses? I got glasses at 5, but I did not have glasses on for hunting at SSND. So I'm kind of blown away by that. They didn't give me contacts. I don't remember having goggles on.
Well, different parts can have different.
Well, I remember you said that
Yeah.
somewhere. And I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I do remember that the other
But
dog
that's very
parts that they
powerful.
had a heightened sense of vision, smell,
Yeah.
hearing, and their senses were heightened.
But that's very powerful that that is in your story here
Hmm.
because you're just putting it in there. You're asking the question and you had forgotten maybe what I had said. So that's confirmation again that parts different parts, the
Yeah. Well,
body.
it gives me hope that maybe I could be fully healed and I won't need glasses anymore.
Well, just ask the part that doesn't need glasses to come out.
Yeah, right. And so I'm drifting off again after all that. It says now I'm seeing some sort of birthday party. There was a large bunch of balloons there.
Matter of fact, Diana, this is okay, thinking back where you say eyeglasses and hunting, do you get a sense that the parts know what part doesn't need glasses and what part does?
Uh,
That would be
well, it
very
would be the ones that were, I don't remember having glasses in the cage either, so it had to have been all of the dog parts. All of them. And I didn't have glasses for any of the school sisters of Notre Dame. I remember getting contacts when I was about, oh no, it was after the arm. No, I think around maybe 18-ish, because they wouldn't allow it in the army. Maybe it was after the army. So it was the whole, so I wore glasses to school. All of my school pictures show me with glasses on. So it was when I was in my parts at School Sisters, I didn't have glasses.
very
And I
now.
don't remember any of the SRA stuff wearing glasses either. So my front personality has glasses,
Yep.
but not the others.
There you
Wow. Okay. So, okay, birthday party. It said School Sisters. Right after that, I saw a very blonde woman kissing a bodybuilder type man with no shirt on. He was blonde also. And I'm talking like, blonde, blonde, blonde. Like not bleached blonde, but that yellowy real blonde. They were kissing in front of everyone. I believe they were held up as the example of the ideal man and woman. The Hitler notion of blonde hair, blue eyes, I suppose. She had short curly hair. She was dressed very well, I think from the rich class there. He had on, he only had on shorts. Perhaps he was her sex slave, impregnating her blonde hair, blue-eyed babies. I get the impression that he was middle class. They looked like they were in their early 20s. I believe that he was one of those bodybuilder guys in the cafeteria, and also one of the two guys that trained us with the knives with the bags hanging off the trees. So that was, the parts I have that's frickin' frack were mirrors of these two bodybuilders that were training us. So I think that these people were trying to breed blonde-haired, blue-eyed people.
Yeah.
That, I got the Hitler vibe there. And that Mr. Mary John with her German Shepherd and her family and from Poland and all that crap. So, okay, so next I took a nap this afternoon and slept a couple of hours. I had a dream. In the dream I was with a girlfriend and there was some construction project going on a road. We were walking through the construction area and walked back to my house, although it was a completely different house than this one. The main construction guy there and his workers and the woman I was helping were all in my house. The construction man had a couple of large dogs that were running around. I didn't mind the dogs, I liked them. He caught me off guard when he came up and just kissed me with this wonderful energy of love, and I accepted it. That was outside when he came up or that was outside of the house. Sometime later, we went in the house. We happened to be in the dining room, me and this man and one of his woman helpers, I think my friend. Although I don't recognize any of these people. Again, he gave me a wonderful, loving kiss. It was just a peck on the lips, but I accepted it again. And I remember thinking, my goodness, I'm married. And the woman that was there in the room when he did it gave me a sideways glance, like, oh my goodness, you're married. I remembered really loving having that loving, affectionate kiss. It was not passionate, but it was loving, but also thinking I cannot be doing this because I'm married. And I'm sitting here thinking about this dream. It's the end of the night now. I realize that this is the desire within me to have a more energetically loving relationship with Chris. I crave that. I want that. It makes me so terribly sad that he's not able to do that. He can from time to time, and it's very short-lived, but I want more. I want love that I can feel energetically that grows and can be affectionate daily, face-to-face love making and kisses. only I give affection. Sometimes Chris will accept it, but most of the time he's very hardened. And when I ask for his lips, he will give them to me, but they are hardened as well. It leaves me feeling sad and disappointed.
Mm.
Because that day I kissed him and I said, "Give me your lips," and it was like kissing a fish. Said, "Oh, yeah." I said, "Also, I took the day off from parts work entirely. I did not even turn on my computer today. Poppy revealed all of her parts, and I felt bad that I wasn't working on it. I kept telling her I promise I will get to it tomorrow, and I'm sorry I'm not working on it as vigorously as I did with all the other revelations. But I just needed rest, and I promised I would get to it." I didn't really feel any pushback, so I'm glad I was able to take the day off. Said, "There is one thing I realized almost immediately after I have parts reveal themselves and I record them and destroy their prisons, it's as though it makes space for more to surface almost immediately.
Yeah.
That's good and that's okay. However, I've been feeling drained. Tomorrow I will get back at it. To all of you parts, I promise to find all of you." So time passes, I drift. Oh, and I'm just my brain was just super active. Also, I've been having this need to want to contact Angie and find out if she's using her TED or not, and not getting if she's not getting it back from her. I don't really want to interact with her and I don't really need to. I have the code to the garage and that's where it is. It just hit me a little while ago. I could drive out early in the morning, be there by noon, drain the thing, put it in my car, be home by 6. And I would do it on a weekday while she is at work and I wouldn't have to interact with her. But considering what's going on between us and the fact that I blocked her and cut off her HBO, I'm sure it will be or
Yeah.
sure it will cause her to want to come and confront me. The thought crossed my mind that she could add juju into it, knowing that I'm going to come pick it up. But a solution for that would be to hose it off and ask God to purge and block any blind evil spirits that she may have connected to it. I don't know why I want it back. It occurred to me that if I do go and do that on a weekday, I will call her and let her know that I was at her house and about to enter the garage. Certainly let her know and not go in there sneakily and steal it, which crossed my mind. But knowing her, she would find a way to come to the house just so that she could confront me. That
Yeah.
would be okay too. I think I would like to explain to her my disappointment about the fact that on my birthday, she talked about the presents that she bought herself, number one. Let her know that I intentionally caused a rift between us over Trump and Harris because I didn't want to interact with her anymore. And lastly, to let her know that whether she realizes it or not, she and Mary were also sexually abused as well. And then just be able to walk off and have the last word.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to battle plan this. It bothers me greatly that I went out of my way in so many ways to help her, and by spending that much money on a TED to help her with her mental health, and she can't even have any consideration for me whatsoever. All the usual bullshit. I just kind of want to stick a pin in her eye and let her know, yeah, you were sexually abused as well. Perhaps that's why you can't have a relationship with a man. I don't really want to get into an argument with her or prove anything, but I do want to stick a pin in her eye. Now, this is right after Pins is revealing herself and take away that very thing that I thought would help her with that. And really, the reason it crossed my mind was because my TED has a cut and it's back on its back, and I realized that as I work on it and physically use my hands to move the neck about it, but it's not moving the same way it should because there's a hole in it, and therefore the air pressure is making it different. And why should I have to buy another unit for myself when there's one sitting in Angie's garage, probably not even being touched? These are my parts. Said, and so time passes. I was also just looking at my text messages. I ran into the one with Em and Catherine, how she just ghosted me. It makes me want to lash out.
Yeah.
Not necessarily be mean and cruel, but to tell her that I'm incredibly disappointed in the fact she ghosted me. Completely blew me off. My parts are really quite angry about it. I suppose it doesn't help that I've not worked on Ted for 2 days. I want to tell her that I think what she did is incredibly disrespectful and hurtful, that I am a survivor and I'm no different than anyone else that she interviews, that because of what she did and how she did it, it makes me question her legitimacy at all. So now it's 11:45. Oh yeah, this is why I was up and thinking
Yeah.
because
Yeah, she hasn't responded to me either.
nothing. So I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So it's 11:45. The people that live behind us are having a party. So of course I get to listen to their music till 2 or 3 in the morning. I realized that as I was having anxiety and anger build, thinking about Angie and Emma and these party people. And since Chris and I are awake already and the neighborhood's already noisy, I decided to go have a TED Talk at 11:45 at night.
Oh, okay.
I think I struck the thing over 50 times, yelled at it 3 times, and I'm waiting for my body to calm down and see how I feel now. I watched a little 10-minute video that I made for Melissa's channel, one of my Alan videos. My anger and anxiety have subsided, but I still have to listen to that bullshit music. It's 12:20.
Oh gosh.
I thought, if I'm going to be up till 2 in the morning, I might as well just watch something. I thought, I'm going to watch my TED videos. Mine. I went to the very beginning. I watched all of them, John.
Wow.
And by the time I finished, I realized, oh, the music's off. I didn't even notice when the music turned off. So my parts wanted to still have TED Talks, but watch them.
That's right. That's right.
And that's when I realized that, and I'm going to talk to people about this in my videos, is that videotape yourself doing it
Good.
and go back and watch them over and over and over because as you do, the parts feel it. Just by watching
Yeah.
it, they feel it.
Yes,
And
they
that's
do.
when I realized, okay, well, if I did, let's say 10 sessions for Dylan, and now I'm, physically did 10 different ones for him, and now I'm rewatching his video 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, which I do because I watch it again when I make the video. Then when I post it, I watch it once just to make sure it's looks okay. And now when I'm angry, I'm watching it again. I'm realizing they're getting 4 more TED Talks
Good.
without any physical exertion.
There you go.
And because as I'm watching them this night, and my parts are going, yeah, yeah.
Good. That's right.
And
Vicarious
they're
satisfaction.
feeling it. That
That's
it's
right.
that you like you said that vicariousness. And I thought, well, people, yeah, it's one thing to watch me do it and have a certain pleasure with it. But when you can rewatch yourself do
Yeah.
it, like
Yeah.
I do, the parts know what I look like. They know I'm in there. They remember doing it. And it's like they get to do it over again, but
Yeah.
without the physical exertion.
That's right.
And I was like, well, that's cool. Because so for what, this hour and a half of what is that? Was like 6 or 8 different
Good
videos.
therapy for you.
I did. So it's like released a lot for me just watching them for an hour and a half. And the music is off. I was up another hour just fixating on getting my TED back from Angie. And I was like, why am I fixating on her? What is the big deal? I don't need another TED. The one we got is fine, blah, blah, blah. And okay, so 11:22. I still got 2 more. Okay. So this is the next day. So as I'm filling out the emotional level for Poppy's subparts, I'm discovering that Zinnia had the Bible read to her while she had pins stuck in her. And Dad used to say something about how Mom might use this book to teach you certain things, but I'm going to teach you the truth about it. Then he would read something out of the Bible and tell me what he thought it meant, and that Jesus did not die for us to save us. He was just a sacrifice for his, meaning my father's God. So it's like Dad was teaching me that Jesus was sacrificed for God, but in my mind, Dad was teaching me that God is Satan, right? So Jesus died for Satan. That's why he was killed, because he was bad,
Yeah.
something along those lines. So I was like, okay, I should put slash dads. Okay, so afterwards, when he was tearing the tape off my restraints, he was threatening me with more of the same if I didn't keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
So now another part, Manifest, her new name is Creation, was really blown away that God answered her prayer, and it also frightened her a little bit. This was the drying out of my car after getting soaked in the rain. So now back to here. I'm filling out the reasons why these parts are sad or angry. Zion, Zuri, Zelda. These were up before and during the torture. Are upset because did not do anything wrong. They keep telling Dad that they didn't do anything wrong, but he is saying that they did do something wrong without saying what. Now I'm doing the health checklist to discover that Sage was also digitally raped while she was being smothered. Actually, it was after the bag was taken off and she caught her breath. And Nyla, when she slammed her head back trying to get the air and couldn't, had her jaw and teeth clenched incredibly hard. I don't know if I don't know if it was clenched, but you're struggling for air and the bag is, you can't move your jaw and mouth. I should say, well, clench is a name of a part too. So anyway, all the usual issues with being tied down, wrists, hands, fingers, legs, feet, not necessarily in pain, just immobilized. But the issues with Poppy was with the inside of her right finger, the wrist, and the leg where the pins were inserted, where I showed you. As I'm starting the MK Ultra page, and pins just let me know that Dad also put headphones on her and would show her cards. So there were mind files installed or reinforced at that point in time. I don't know if it's mind files particular, but that's just what came to mind. In the MK Ultra area, I just saw some of the cards. I started seeing the cards that Dad presented to me while he was reading out the Bible. He would show me satanic symbolism like pentagrams, ram's horns, upside down crosses, are all I can see right now. Sage also had earphones on and mind files installed while she was using up the last of the air in the bag before she started suffocating. Cards were used at that point as well, except that they were symbols of geometric shapes. And I went, really? And she goes, she showed me equations, mathematical equations, like algebraic equations.
Well, he's suffocating you, he's showing you algebraic equation.
Hmm. And I did well in algebra, but when I got to geometry, I would fall asleep in the class. And I don't really understand why. And that's when I dropped my math. All of them had sleep deprivation and exhaustion. The ones who were actually being tortured had concentration
And
problems.
I can't imagine why.
I know. And at one time, Dad zapped Zadie. He used to be called Clench with the cattle prod because she spat on him. The spiritual issues page, I'm discovering that when I began walking downstairs was when I felt the abandonment from God. It was like I was descending into hell.
That's right. That's
It
right.
was once I started to go up the stairs that went away, with the exception of Nell, Nev, and Nolan, who are some parts of Sage. They began to call on God in their mind and curse Dad, ask God to curse Dad. So trigger words and phrases were used all throughout, as well as symbols through the cards. Even when Dad told me to go upstairs, because he would tell Pins to go upstairs and he would tell Sage to go up now. To go up now. He would flash a card at me with a certain symbol. Right now, I'm seeing the image of a finger over a person's mouth, the symbol for silence. Also, when Dad was digitally raping me in any of these three main guardian parts, he used the Bible and said that the Lord is coming, like you said that time, meaning that he was ejaculating. Dad also said that now that I was married to Satan, that I had an obligation to learn all of the things that he was teaching me. So making notes while I'm doing those checklists I've found is it's a have to, it's a must. Before I didn't, I just assumed I would remember those little details. And if I get the time, I will go back and re-look at them and then dictate those notes for all the other parts that I've done. But for now, I figure they're mostly guardians anyway, and so when I get their subparts and fill that in, I'll be able to do it then. So And so I said I have 27 new parts. I worked on all of them today because they're pretty sequential on the timeline, except for one that was manifest. And I only got through half of the charts and graphs. I would have done destroying their prisons,
Oh, yeah.
but I get the vibe that they want to wait until after I get the health checklist done so that everything is included when we destroy it. I feel bad that I didn't get it all done, but I'm tired today. I only got about 4.5 hours of sleep. I feel pretty drained. Chris ran off to the store, so I snuck in a TED talk that was pretty intense. That seemed to help my anxiety. Angie seems to be beyond my mind, but I think I have relieved some of the anger that I have with her. It just sticks in my craw that I bought that TED for her, and it's probably not being used. Everything about her sticks in my craw, so obviously more TED work. Emma Catherine has crossed my mind several times today, too. I'm still ticked off at the disrespect that she showed me. But it also crossed my mind that maybe it's for the best because she does have a lot of oddball people on there, and that would have connotations that I am among them. So by not being interviewed, it keeps the brush of crazy off me. So, and I've lost respect for her completely. I can barely even pull her channel up on Rumble now. I haven't watched anything she's done since this. Last night I put one on thinking, well, let me just see what this new person is. Let me see what their spin is. Are they hypnosis? Do they do yoga? What's their deal? And and after literally 30 seconds, Chris came in and said, "Hey, check this out." I was more than happy to turn it off.
Okay. Yep.
So I'm drifting. So I just saw the face of a woman that startled the heck out of me. It was just her face and shoulders. She had a very round face with a pointy chin, long, thin nose, and her hair was up in a ponytail. I could see her bangs that curved around her face and curled out at her jawline. She was giving me this creepy smile, and her eyes were devilish somehow. She seemed to be about 16 or 18. My part is telling me that she was one of the witches in the ceremony with Sarah. And then I put 3 sketches. So I'll show you those. I got up and did the sketches. Which one was for? Okay, so this was her. And I just saw her head in my mind's eye, but when I was sketching it, I made this her hair. I made the hair too long. And I realized, well, so I scribbled it out with the brown. And then my part said, no, draw it in black instead. So I did. And I said, well, they kind of look like angel wings. She's like, no, that was her cape. She should draw the rest of the robe. And then her robe tied at the neck. And the parts that she's startled by Jesus. And then I put in when Jesus came
Okay.
into me. And then I made the note, okay, she's about 16 or 18. And so after this sketch came this one. Now, this popped into my head probably 4 or 5 days prior. And I kept telling myself, draw a sketch, draw a sketch, draw a sketch. And I didn't. I wish I had, but I remembered it. And again, I drew her hair too big. It was like up in one of those 50 style buns, and it was kind of blondish brown hair. And and so it's like, well, the hair is too big. The part's like, that's okay. They're like, that's okay. Don't worry about the hair. Just draw
Oh,
her face. And so she was peeping around a door. She's peeking out a door to see if Jesus is gone, because I didn't know where that came from. And they're like, okay, draw the drawer now, the door, because I had just her head there. And so I did. And they're like, now you can cover up the extra hair. Okay. So I'm trying to draw like the ceiling and the door line and stuff. This was a middle-aged woman. So she's peeking. And so I was like, oh, okay, she's another one of those people, one of the witches. I was like, okay, great. They're starting to show me all the people. And then this picture came next. And first they're like, well, draw yourself lying on the floor after you vomited. So I did. I tried to draw my face, look, it was like down, kind of sideways and down. And they're like, okay, put your robe on. So I did. And they said, your hair was just all over the place. I'm like, okay. And then they're like, okay, Angie and Mary came out to help you. And I was like, oh, that's right. So I put Mary in first without it was just an outline sketch with the colors. Same with Angie. Then Mary had on a green shirt, Angie had on a reddish pink shirt. I was like, okay. And they're like, I was drawing the legs to like make that one extra long because she put her foot in your back. And I went, really? And they go, yeah. And I said, okay, so I made it extra long. And they like put her hands on her hips. So I did. And she goes, it's Mary. Mary is telling, because first they were just standing there and they were saying, get up, get up, get up. And Mary pushed Angie, said, you're going to have to get her up. And Angie's like, well, I don't. So that's when she used her foot to push on me. Get up, get up. It's not like a kind person would have gone to
Wow.
hands and knees and rolled you over gently and said, are you okay? No, they're standing there. She's got hands on her hips because she's going to deal with me because the witches were hiding. And then I realized, oh, I should make this bigger. They took the time to change their clothes because they had robes on just like me. So however long that takes, okay. So it wasn't a real urgency to come help me. I'm laying out there for a while. Angie's got her hands on her hips, annoyed.
And
Mary's,
are your hands tied?
no, they're just like crumpled under me. And they're like, okay, now put the puke over here. Because remember, you puked on grandma and then you felt you dropped down and you were just a lump.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, I have my robe on. They do not. So, however, when they all scattered, they left me there. They're freaking out, obviously. I'm sure it takes them a minute to two to get their head about them. I think grandma is calculating and thinking, oh shit, Diana's not waking up. What's Karen gonna say or do, my mom? Okay, we need Angie and Mary. Yeah, we're not going to go out there, but we'll send Angie and Mary. So, Angie, Mary, hurry up and change your clothes because you're going to have to get Diana out to your mom. So that's what this is a scene of. It said Mary's pushing Angie.
Where was your mom at this time?
She was in the church building with the
Uh,
other women keeping her there.
so was this during a Sunday service?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
this was children's church.
Right, Sunday school. Dad was upstairs in the lodge. Mom was with the ladies in her ladies group thing, whatever it was. And then Angie's using her foot to aid me, and I put wake me, but I was like, no, I wasn't asleep. She's trying to rouse me.
Yeah.
And then I have my arms are under my body. And so that was the scene. And they're like, okay, now put the door in because that's where the witches were poking their head out to look, but they're hiding, sending Angie and Mary to come out here. Angie can't be kind or gentle, neither can Mary. And this is where I realized Mary was trained to be Angie's lackey, right? Because Angie was supposed to be the replacement for grandma, but she didn't have the IQ or the spiritual acumen. So I got that training. Angie got the training to be cruel, and lapped it up. Mary was trained to be her lackey, like every psychopath has a minion,
That's
right?
it.
And so
That's
that's what this picture is depicting to me. And I'm like, oh, I'm starting to understand their roles better. So, but if I had not gotten up and drawn this
yeah.
and made myself, oh, yeah, remember that, this would have never come. And so this was why I was fixating on Angie and angry with Angie,
That makes sense.
and so that came a day later because I kept thinking, why am I thinking about her at all? I haven't thought about her for a couple of weeks. So Angie kind of pushed me around with her foot for a while, but I wasn't getting up. I was just gone. She pushed me over on my back with her foot because they couldn't get me up. They drugged me into the bathroom.
Oh,
She sat me up, took off my robe, and threw my clothes at me. I just looked at her staring. She was hollering at me to get dressed, get dressed, get dressed. but I was somewhat comatose still. Mary said that we're going to have to dress her. So they put my top on and laid me back down to put my pants on. Angie was hollering at me to lift my hips so they could get the pants on. They were already dressed in their street clothes. They drugged me up by the armpits and stood me up. Mary said, "You should slap her." And she did. Angie actually slapped me 2 or 3 times. I roused and was standing on my own then. They guided me through the building, pushing at me. When I got to the exit door, I was more alert. When I walked through the doorway, I saw Mom approaching and I started to run. So I'm kind of surprised that that means someone would have had to have notified her. Or unless the timing of the classes was ending and Mom was going to come get us anyway. Something like, because I don't believe that they would go and get Mom. So it must have been that the classes were synchronized to end at certain, at similar times. Said I instantly had adrenaline and energy. I pulled my arms away because they were holding me. I pulled my arms away from them and ran like lightning to Mom. She happened to be by a tree when I met up with her. I ran to her and buried my face in her waist. She sat down immediately. I was in her arms crying uncontrollably. Mom asked Angie and Mary what the hell happened when they slowly got there. They told her that I had some jello and that I had puked. Under my tears, I shook my head and I said to Mom, "No, no, no." Dad came out. That's when I saw Grandma peeking out the window. The curtain closed very quickly when she knew I saw her. Mom asked Dad what happened. Dad said he had no idea. He was upstairs with the boys. Mom picked me up and carried me to the church bathroom. That's where the fluorescent lights were really bright. The tile floor was cold. I told Mom that bad stuff happens there and I didn't want to go back again. She asked me what, but I couldn't tell her. She cleaned me up in there. We were sitting on the floor and then stood. Then we walked down the hall to the sunny door. Then we all went to the car and drove back to Grandma and Grandpa's house. By the time we got to the house, I was switching to my front personality again. In the car, Angie, Mary, and Dad were doing stuff that caused me to. Angie and Mary were talking about Bible study, and afterwards we had jello, and then I had just suddenly vomited. They had no idea what happened. In the bathroom, after Mom cleaned me up and straightened out my clothes, she had to tie my shoes for me. She muttered, "Why are your shoes untied?" I didn't respond. That's when I clung onto her waist again and told her bad stuff happens there and I didn't want to go back there ever again. Then we walked out of the bathroom through the hallway to the car. I told Mom I didn't want to go to Grandma's house either. She told me it must have just been something bad that I ate and to come on now, everything will be fine. I felt a great despair in that moment. Sadie is many years younger than what I thought, the part that's in despair. Now, Sadie, I thought, was born after Trip telling Mom what happened and got tortured and then went into despair because she knew she couldn't talk. But Sadie was born years earlier. I just cried for a little while in real time. Now my back is starting to itch right in the center just below my shoulder blades. I realize that's the spot Angie is taking her foot and pushing on me to try to rouse me. She used her foot and pushed me over until I was lying on my back. Then her and Mary used my robe to drag me into the bathroom, pulling by the shoulders. The lady that was peeping her head around the doorway suggested it to them, and they did. I think right now I'm realizing because they're hollering back, "Well, she won't get up. What are we supposed to do?" And the lady peeps her head and says, "We'll drag her by her robe." So that's what that was about. The teen girl that I saw and sketched was standing behind the woman in the doorway as Angie Mary dragged me into the bathroom. She wasn't startled like I wrote on the sketch. She had adrenaline in her, which is why her face was strange. She almost seemed like she wanted to mess with me, to challenge God somehow. The older lady kept her still. So all this came after the sketches. And then, so I showed you that. So I'll show you the yeah, you saw all that. Where do I want to go back to? Vance, VANCE. Oh, there we go. So, did I add these in here yet? Yeah. Okay. So it's between this part and this part. Because I remember mom and the bathroom, being in a daze, driven to grandma's house, sucking my thumb, rocking to distract me, all this. But this part that I just read to you goes between here and here. So Vance was telling me more of the story. So that's what I got to do. Oh, geez, I got to write this down. I got to do Vance's parts. So they all kind of, it's just this one long massive incident with several guardians,
Hmm. Hmm.
which, and I have to say there's some part of me that wants to, have it be easier and say, well, can't we just say that this is the incident, this is the part name for the whole incident, and why do we have to go through all this step by step by step by step stuff? And I'm like, because I'm not going to get the details.
There we go.
Yeah, that part disassociated, and that part has an issue with its neck. And then that part disassociated, and that's got an issue with the vagina. And I'm like, each one has to be accounted for. I
There-
said, if we just do this one guardian, yeah, I get, 60% of the story or 30% of the story, but without digging in there and seeing there was a chair, there was tape, there was a pin, there was a, I go back in my mind and I say to myself, well, I can literally now feel myself. I don't imagine, but I go into that part and I go, I can literally feel them going and then into another part.
there
And
we
then
go.
they'll
Yeah.
come back down.
That's when the true healing takes place. Because
I
you're,
can now sense that as I'm remembering the
wow.
incident and the chair to the tape to the pin to the this to the that, which might only be 3 minutes apart in
Right.
time.
Right.
I can literally feel my energy drop and then a new part and then
There.
drop
Great.
and then a new part. And yeah, it would be, my parts are making it easier for me by giving it to me in a grouping and saying, okay, all of you are going to have the same first initial, you know, and we're going to, go through the checklist individually, but also as a group because we need to talk to each other. And it makes a difference. It really makes a difference. And I think about that woman you told me about that had 200 parts and never really got anywhere with, well, well, no, you found the parts, she didn't. And I
Correct.
thought,
And even today, she's
you have
still,
to embrace that guardian and
that's
work with that guardian first. And that was what confused me a lot until now was going through the emotional intensity chart was, well, what is this backup parts business? I don't understand. Who's that? What I could fill out everything else easily, but when I got to there, it would be just this big, huh? And now that I understand, because I always thought the guardians would present last. They don't. They present first because they need to test you.
correct. There
And
you go.
once they test you and they feel safe and they release some rage, they're like, okay, we'll give you the rest. And I got 27 of them.
There
And
you go.
I will say I get a little overwhelmed. Oh my God, 27 of y'all. But and it took I think 8 hours to do all the stuff for the parts. And I made myself get up every hour, hour and a half and go do something. Like I gave them a tour, or I would get up and have
And that right there, Diane, that's the benefit, because to the extent that someone overlooks or
the little
disregards or ignores,
pieces.
you're not going to be able to be fully emotionally present in the moment. So the benefit of doing the work is you're able to bring all of them into the present. That
Well, they
reduces.
become co-conscious. I think
There you
what
go.
happens is
Good,
the guardian becomes co-conscious with
good.
me, and her subparts stay subconscious. But now I can call them up and say, well, okay, I feel a tingle in my back. I know that Angie put her foot in your back. Is there something going on with you? So it's like their way of going from subconscious to
There you
co-conscious.
go. There you go.
And I'll
That's
say, oh, okay, she didn't just nudge us, she kicked us, which I don't know if that's the case. I'm just using it as an example. But yeah, I wouldn't have if the yeah, the sketches led
wow.
to, well, the some part gave me the image, which led me to the sketch, remembered the one before, then that part, and then we're going, oh, Vance has more steps. I think of them as steps, but they're parts. There's more steps in the incident,
Yeah. Yeah.
more parts of the incident, more uh, I guess part is a good name for them, but I'd like to more people. There's more people in there.
There you go.
Each one has a problem.
That's right.
Even if you're just being dragged across the floor, well, I saw two witches snarling at me and it scared me while I'm comatose. That part has fear. And so
Good.
if I never address it, I'll never be able to release it.
Good for you. That's spot on. That's the whole
So,
goal.
and it's just that one little 15 seconds in time,
There you go.
a part that exists for 15 seconds of time. And when you used to tell me this months ago, I'd think, I don't know. I mean, here Poppy's telling me the story, but now I get the importance of it. Because if I don't acknowledge them, then the guardian's like, oh, okay, fine, I can trust you 50% of the way.
That's right. That's right.
But if you can handle my babies, then I'll trust you 100%.
There you go.
And that's really what's going on there is they're testing you. And I didn't get that until a week or so ago. So
Wow.
let me show you. I know what time. I don't know what time it
Let's
is.
keep going for a little bit longer here.
Okay, so share.
And
I
here's a, I don't know. Let me just throw this out and we'll find out what. So if this weren't you, Diana, let's say we were discussing somebody else with a similar situation and you had just
Yeah.
described Angie and Mary.
Oh,
Okay.
I've lost the desire to go get the TED now. I think
Oh,
that
okay, okay.
it
But
was that part that was
yeah, no,
angry,
that's
and that
right.
was
That's
how
right.
it was expressing itself.
But
Yeah.
here's a horrific and powerful thought because of how many different things they were involved in. How, here's,
And they embrace the dark side.
I don't know. This is going to sound strange. It's just me thinking they may they may not be as dissociative as we think. Meaning they may actually still remember and are okay with,
I know. Or maybe it's just a subconscious
right?
level.
But the fact that
But
they've
yeah.
never humbled themselves and apologized to you,
Well, this is what blows my mind the most is they acknowledge and validate, yeah, we believe you when you say dad sexually abused you. And yet Angie still maintained a relationship until the day he died. Mary cut ties with him entirely. And they said, well, I don't remember. I've dug deep. I don't remember any of that.
see, I think they remember more than they're disclosing. I think it's much more on a conscious level. I think they
I
remember. this.
I think you're right. That never crossed my mind.
That's not parts. That's a sadistic little kicking you with the foot. I bet she remembers that.
I think you're right. I think maybe I didn't want to go that far. I kept thinking,
And
well,
it
they're
just occurred to
wounded
me that it's like
children
that
and
that's
they're
not a part. That's a disposition right there. And she doesn't want to acknowledge that she darn well remembers.
maybe
Now,
so.
does she remember all the stuff that happened to her when she was had that goofy face being raped? That's a different issue. She has to do
Yeah,
the same
because
work
that's a
you do.
part that's a
But
wounded
kicking you,
kid that's
I bet she consciously remembers some of the stuff that was done to you. She knows like a you know somebody that was standing by and watching the
and married
SS
too.
troops. Okay,
And
yeah, both
married
of them.
too. Because remember that part I that came up a week ago about me being in my room exercising
Yeah,
with the bar in my
you're
closet,
there.
and them standing in the door
I bet
snickering.
I bet they're
They-
counting on. They were hoping you didn't remember.
Well, and I didn't till now, but
Yeah, but that's why
that's why
I
they
just
could use me and abuse me, and I was their supply my whole life.
they don't want to have to give an account for their part. So I bet just I think they uh, everything
No,
within me is saying that they consciously. I mean, they've never forgotten. I mean, so with that part,
wow, that never crossed my mind.
kicking somebody on the floor with their foot, that's not a part. That's a disposition. She probably remembers that.
Uh, wow. I never I never went there, John, but thank you. I think you're right. Because
So
that's what is causing me. Because I, every time I'm on TED now, I have to smash Angie.
oh,
Not so much Mary, but Angie. And Mary revealed herself during Mom's death, and we were doing the trust and all that stuff, and Mary just wanted without giving. And that's when I knew Mary had embraced satanic evil, well, maybe not satanic, but evil disposition. Because you just can't behave that way without having
there,
an evil disposition.
there you go.
With Angie, you know, I wound up doing all the work and she went to work. Now that I think about it, she went to work while I stayed at her house and handled all of Mom's stuff, packed up all her things, took it to Goodwill, made the phone calls to the credit card companies. I did it all, John. And she was annoyed when after 2 weeks, I said I'd go there for a week. I was there for 2 weeks, came back home and she had to do Mom's taxes at the end of the year and pay for it. I said, Andrew, you just got $20,000 in Mom's checking account because it was a joint checking account, right? So it became Angie's money, and you can't drop $100 to do her taxes. I was like, are you kidding me? And so I think you're right. I think you're right. And so now that I'm
Yeah, you know
remembering,
what? Everything within me says they've been counting up, banking on the fact that you wouldn't remember. So it'd be interesting for you.
maybe that's what my part recognized and why I want to go poke her in the
Okay,
eye.
so maybe just send her a little email saying, "I remember."
Yeah, God's telling me to just
Okay,
leave
and
it
that's
alone.
right, but
Leave it
that's
alone. Yeah.
that's
But
that
um
it's funny because everything else, and I'll be willing to say that okay, she has parts, but that's different than that disposition.
you're right. And Mary has a similar disposition, except as a child, Mary was trained to be a lackey. There came a certain point when they were in their teenage years and Mary went off on her own. She figured out how to be her own. It's just she didn't have to be a lackey to Angie anymore. And that's when her true colors started showing.
See,
I think
that's
you're right. I think they've embraced both. And with Mary, she had nightmares and would wake up screaming, holding her crotch. I think I told you about that when she was married. But what she did was she asked her dead father-in-law, a ghost, if he would protect her. She did that consciously. Why
right.
would you ask a ghost to protect you?
Right.
Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you ask God? She was going to church. She turned Catholic because Mark's family was Catholic and all that stuff. why are you not asking Jesus or God for help?
Yeah.
She asked a dead spirit. I was like, no, I never put that together till right now. Well, no, until a little while ago. But I think you're right. The more I think about it, that makes sense.
Because you never would have done that.
No, I would
In
have dropped
between
down to my
abuse,
knees and like, oh my God, are you okay?
right? In between abuse, you wouldn't have acted that way. So that's no trauma in that moment on they weren't undergoing now they're seeing something horrific, but at the same time they weren't being traumatized. So what do? They
I
drag you in
just
the bathroom.
realized they were the three levels of SRA: perpetrator, lackey, and
Yeah,
victim. All three of us.
yeah.
So they must not have gone through the things that I went through.
No, no, no,
And
no.
maybe because I was chosen because of my IQ and because I had this spiritual awareness. Oh, we got to squash her more. Angie and Mary will just train them to be perpetrators. And they are. They're both narcissists.
Yeah, but that's still that choice, right? When
Hmm.
somebody chooses to become a perpetrator, they're no longer a victim.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. My God, John, my parts are spinning now. They're going, yeah, he's right. That hat, because it makes sense. They
So
they
I
are
see
reprobate.
that
They
incident,
turn.
just everything within me says they've never forgotten that. Okay,
Hmm.
that's not dissociation. That was a conscious choice.
Well,
That's who
and
they
here's
are.
something else my parts are throwing out. Karate kick. Remember Dad's drowning me? We get on shore and then he karate kicks me. Throughout my life, Angie and Mary would say to me from time to time, you remember that time Dad karate kicked you at the beach?
See,
Why they would even bring that up? I'm like, well, yeah, I remember.
they were fully aware of that.
Oh my God, they have known all along. I never put that together.
They just counted on you not remembering. Because I bet they started to see the dissociation. So
And that accounts for her statement to me about the sexual abuse. And I've dug deep. I've looked, I've tried to remember. I don't remember anything. And thinking back on it now, how superficial that sounded.
there you go.
It was
It's
a
basically
lie.
saying, I
And
don't
I
remember.
bought it. And I bought it
There
thinking,
we go.
I'll be kind. I don't want to shove that in your face. If you're not ready, you're not ready. Hurt people, hurt people.
They don't want to give an account for what they did.
Ah,
They saw
my
you
God.
splitting off, and they knew because they saw what your dad did and how he was able to cause you
And
to.
they knew what their roles were: perpetrator,
There you go.
minion, and
There you go.
Diana's the victim.
There you go. So
They've known it all along.
they've reperpetrated by basically denying your reality, so you don't have to give an account.
Oh my God. I feel like some weight has lifted, John. And you know what else I've been thinking about this for weeks. My friend in Milwaukee, I told you Joe Emanuele, his father did whatever, and we were having the conversation, and Joe said to me, he goes, that he remembered or found out that his dad, I think, committed a murder for the mob. And he made this comment. He says, "And you know, honey," because he called me honey, you know what? I don't know. I'm proud of that. And I didn't say anything. He goes, yeah, I'm proud of him. My dad didn't take any shit and would blah, 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 blah. And that's been going through my head too. And I thought, he's cult loyal.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe that's why he hasn't, ever since our last conversation, I said, are you sure you don't remember if I was there or not there? You don't remember me being gone for entire weekends at a time? Oh no, honey, I think he was lying. I think he was lying.
Yeah,
And just yesterday, God was saying, block him too. Block him. You don't need to talk to him anymore. And I did, and I didn't know why until right now.
there
He
you go.
knows too.
Yeah.
He knows too. Unbelievable. It's not unbelievable. It's not even incredible because it is credible. It's mind-blowing. It just these people I thought I wanted to have in my life because they're my history. They're my family, a childhood friend for 50 years, and still not helping. The only thing he was focused on and fixated on was this thing about Angie grooming him, and I
Right.
believed him. And Angie's just adamant. No, I remember my first boyfriend. Nah, 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 nah. They all know. They all know.
Mhm.
And right now I have a part inside saying, well, isn't it, is it subconscious or is it fully
Okay. Okay,
conscious
good, good. No, I would say,
for
okay, see,
them?
right? That's the question. Just
I mean,
intuitively, my mind's going, right? Like, okay, how do you explain this? How would I explain this? I would say, okay,
because why
here's
aren't they going to satanic rituals and have altars in their homes and,
right.
they're not going all the way with it.
Okay, so I would say that you can have a survivor, okay, but still, and it speaks to the human spirit then. So you can have someone that's being abused, but it still comes down to, okay, even like child on child. So you have a child that's been perped on. Now the child's turning around. So let's say a 5-year-old's perping on a 3-year-old, taking out the anger, or just replicating. But there comes a point in time in everybody's life
What they know and they choose.
there. Okay.
Like
So
my cult loyals part one, they chose the power position.
that's right.
But
That's
when I
right.
differentiated it out for them, they're like, well, no, I want Jesus is the power position now.
Okay. And the fact that
And you have there is a point where you choose.
you make a choice and you either choose or you're going to be loyal to the perp or place responsibility on the perp. And this is one of those cases where I I don't have a hard time believing that they have blocked out their own rapes.
Yeah,
But because they chose to become selfish, to become sadistic, to align themselves, instead of aligning themselves with you to be protective, they align
right.
themselves
Because
with
we
your
could have
dad.
blown the water with mom.
There
Well,
we go.
they
Okay,
agreed and then betrayed me.
there. So the empathy that those wounded parts deserve, that gets put on hold. So I would say the majority of them, therefore, they are responsible and therefore they get no compassion unless and until they were ever to come to terms with their stuff. And so
Yeah.
that choice then kept them from splitting off because then they didn't get the bulk of the abuse. You got it. So they were able to be more fully present.
Like you said before, they sacrificed me
Correct. They pushed you
to
out there knowing that,
protect
right.
themselves.
So they got incest. They didn't get tortured. Well, I mean, they got gang raped a couple times, but so
Yeah.
they were able to be more present. And so in that moment, that's why I have no doubt they remember dragging you to the bathroom, kicking, which would be interesting because then they saw
What
everybody
it did to me.
scattered.
They
They
saw
they
what?
probably saw everybody scatter, or so that's a good question. Did they actually see the incident where the baby was being killed? That's I don't know. And would they have been
Yeah.
split off? But still,
When they were
that's
being groomed to be perpetrators.
yep. That's not a dissociative moment when you drag somebody to a bathroom, they kick your sister, hey, get up. You're not dissociated at that point. That's disposition.
Yeah, I never thought of that. Oh my gosh, my parts are reliving thousands of
There you go.
interactions
There you go.
with
And that'll
me
be really important, Diana. Maybe for
and
today, give
with Joe
yourself
because
permission to go there.
I wasn't just Joe's. I was his girlfriend for a short time and then I realized I'm never gonna fall in love with you. So I decided to be friends with benefits. But I also had sex with his brother at a different point in time didn't work out. And I'm wondering now if they weren't my handlers because his father was my handler. And if that's not why Joe doesn't contact me 3 or 4 times a year
Yeah. Oh,
to just handle and
you're not
see.
remembering. And now you're remembering too much, and so he's backing off.
And he did because I said, "You really don't remember me being
That
gone for
you're now a
5 weekends
liability.
at a time?"
You're
And
a
he just
liability.
blew off the lines.
That's interesting. You're a liability now
Ah, yeah, because
because
I kept thinking
he's
that's interesting that he hasn't reached out. I'm not going to reach out to
yeah,
him. I kept
yeah,
thinking because he's
because you have
kind of a
information,
downer when we talk.
right? You have information that can send people to prison. So now it's like hands off. He ain't gonna interact with you anymore because you're looking for information.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. I bet you they were. Or for maybe not, handlers. Well, I don't know. But yeah, I'm thinking, I wonder if he wasn't my handler. Because they're and he would just go on and on and on about, no, the mob doesn't do pedophilia. They don't approve of
You
that.
look at that.
They
Look
don't
at that.
that. And I'm thinking, you're full of shit.
Yeah, and
They
who knows how
traffic people. If they're going to do drugs
that's
and
right.
gambling and what's to stop them from human
Okay, good,
trafficking?
right? Dana, that's
It's
like
like, come
saying,
on.
right? That's like saying, well, they do illegal stuff, but they're not immoral or
They
unethical.
have ethics,
They
right?
have ethics, right? They wouldn't stoop so low.
That was him handling me. That was
And
him
that's okay.
handling
And
me.
that's where it's absolutely different. But why the perks, why I'm over the target with this man Osborne or whatnot, I'm helping people think through that they play on, we've got that threshold. So we say, well,
We want
I
to
know they've
believe the
done this, but
best
they
in
wouldn't.
people. We want to believe the best in
Right.
people
There we go. There we go.
until they do something
There you
obvious.
go. And that's why they can
But
play this well. Virtuous pedophile, non-offending pedophile. I know they're dressed as drag, but they would never. I know these guys, right?
but see,
They want to be on the sports.
if you hadn't worked with perps, you wouldn't have this point of view.
That's it. So no, it's all about sports. It's all about that now. And I'm saying no, it's about the locker rooms and the shower rooms.
Right, and it's about the conscience that has been cauterized
That's
all the
right.
way along, and the
There you go.
pornography that you're watching,
There you
and
go. And so they
it's
had to.
it's that progression.
That's
And
right.
once you t that twisting
Yeah.
zone, you don't go back.
That's right. And all of them know it, and they don't want me giving up the goods. And so that's why they had to do this.
I know,
So
I
that's why
know.
behind the scenes, I'm still working on this. Oh, gosh.
I know, and I was thinking, I wonder, I mean, because I think the people that are coming to my channel are coming because of you, and they might be contacting others. I mean, I see us all as isolated little islands, except for, Emma's group of people. But I'm thinking, why? Because I am putting in my show notes referencing your talks with Emma to the Rumble with your interviews for the people that watch me. But I'm thinking if they already know Jon's work, they certainly must have seen these already. But there's a part of me that's thinking maybe you and I should redo that series. And as you and I do it, it would be different than with you and Emma because I could ask you as a victim. Well, that doesn't make sense to me. How does that
Mhm.
work? Or I could pipe up and say, well, yeah, I had this experience and you're right.
Well, let's
I
plan
don't
on.
know if after
I
you're
think that's
done with your response and you finally get to breathe, if maybe we should do a monthly or weekly or whatever and do those consciousness level steps again. Because I perceive the people that are watching my channel really want the real deal.
yeah.
And
And
I
Diana,
think the
I
people
think
that are
that's
watching Emma's channel are going, oh, all I have to do is get hypnosis and walk past a healing stone on Zeta Reticuli. I'm in. They're not serious, but I want the people who are serious. And so if we could, I'm thinking we should do that.
And I agree 100%. So why don't we think in terms
Because I
of
mean, Emma's blowing you off too now, right?
turn anything. Um, and I have always had some concern that I'm on that channel, and there really is exactly like you're talking
A lot
about.
of kooks. I mean,
And
I would say out of, I don't know how many people she's interviewed. Let's just say 500. I have found three people that I have found genuine. Nathan Reynolds and that Scotland Yard detective who hunted pedophiles. That's it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, yeah, each one says something that triggered me and helped me to remember something. And but they it and there was one woman who talked about her UFO experience, and by the very end, she talked about, she said, I realized, no, that was an implanted a program. And I believe now that it's not UFOs, that it was whatever. So I think that she might be genuine. But if you look at her on the whole, she's wrapped up and absorbed in the UFO world. So that discredits her.
Right,
Even though you don't believe it was UFOs, you're still stuck in it. And I'm like, well, how does that help you?
right.
You know, that's like the person that called Melissa and said, yeah, I was a victim of uh, SRA, I think, and I want to expose Satanism, but I'm going to do it from the inside. It doesn't work that way. It can't work.
No.
So like, I'm just I'm just thinking I'm kind of done with Emma now. And I wonder if she's not. Well, what my original thought about Gray was controlled opposition in this SRA movement to sway it in the wrong direction, you know. But I keep thinking what she said about when she had your interviews on, that they just got rave reviews. People loved them. And it's because it was the truth. And I'm glad that you were on there because that's how I found you. If you hadn't been on there, I would have never found you. I don't know how much time we have. For some reason, my clock's not showing here.
No, I wanted to keep going for a little bit.
Okay, good, because I want to show you how I changed the graphs.
Matter of
I
fact, let me do that. Oh, you've got great screensaver. I know it just automatically. It's great.
Yeah,
Let,
and if I
let,
noticed this, I can learn about the location by clicking there. I don't know
yeah.
what it is, but
You know what? I'm going to run to the restroom. I'll be right back.
sure,
As
yeah.
I can be fully emotionally present.
Okay.
There we are.
Okay. So my parts, I'll just quickly go through this, and we destroyed their prisons. Um, these are
It's in the fact that you put the tour, that is such a key thing to help
yeah,
somebody.
these are an
That's
ins
really the healing. You know you're being healed when you're able to bring them present and they're more co-conscious. So it's beautiful.
yeah. Anyway, I'll have to go back here and but anyway, she threw three grenades in that vat full of blood that had the lampreys in it. Tornado the house, the land, and the whole town. That was
Good.
Maya, or the wrong name. Yeah, Maya. I got that right. Now, these guys were the ones that I just did, and I asked them, I said, since you're all in the same room, the same house, the same place, do you guys all want to work together? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. So these are all the same entry. It said they wanted to put pins in Dad's eyes. So when we did that, we slowly just popped his eyeballs. But
Good.
then Pins herself, who had already destroyed the prison, she said, no, all of them took pins, and he was like a pin cushion, and they were just, stabbing him all over the place.
Good.
And they said, first they said, we put one up his penis, and they're like, no, an ice pick because it's
Oh,
bigger.
I like that. I like it.
And they're like, sledgehammer his penis and his head. And we're gonna put a stake up his ass.
There you
And we're
go.
gonna atom the house, the neighborhood, because by then I'm thinking about Joe,
Yep.
and then all of Milwaukee, and then Angie, Mary, and Mom, are all in the house because, mom had a certain culpability
Yeah,
too.
that's right. That's right.
When it blows up with Joe Emanuele, his father, the demon, all the perps, get the bomb. And then Pumpkin says, well, here's my bat. You want to smash it? Like, yeah, we're gonna use the bat on his body. And then I said, well, what are we gonna do? One part was worried about all the nuclear fallout. Well, we don't want to blow that away. And God said, don't worry, it's all gonna go down into hell. And then he
Good.
healed the land and we filled it with the forest. So that's what all of these parts did. Now, this was the electrocution part. See how these are all Z names and these were all N names, which I
Yeah.
find funny. If you take the N, tip it on its side, it's a Z. Anyway,
Ah,
these guys each had different
that's
names.
very interesting.
But the
Very.
parts inside were saying, look, this is a lot. We're going to have 5, 6, 700 parts eventually. We need to organize this. And so they all agreed, okay.
That's great. That's great. No, you guys are great. Yep.
And
And
so,
that's right. That's the strength. You guys have some really good organizing parts. So
yeah. And see, here I'm finding this is when my computer was doing stuff on its own. See how it just, these should not be here. And I
wow.
just found something over here that I had to correct. So anyway, that's them. And then these were the wolf pack and all that. So we want to fill that area with boiling oil, shoot Dad, Jack, and the perps in the head. We're gonna whirlpool all that boiling out of the hell and then blow up the TV and speakers. This one wanted to blow up the perps in the room. This one had 4 grenades in the van and one in Jack's mouth. Ice picks in Jack's eyes, grenade in his mouth, 6 jet bombs on the whole place because there's 6 parts, and a tsunami.
I like that. I like it.
And these ones were the ones that actually had to do the kill. They said we want 6 wolves or 6 parts, 6 wolves to come and eat Jack. So
Good.
they ate him, tore him to pieces, and then they did a DEW on the site of the kill. This one was again the same, the ice picks in Jack's eyes. So I guess there's 5, was this 5, and this was the 6th one. And then this one said, I just want a tsunami. So
Good.
sometimes they'll do it as a group, and sometimes individuals have very specific things. And then this was the high school, my girlfriend, Sledgehammer Christine Van Meter, my friend, my
Yeah.
handler. Smash a bat to Christine's mom, dad, siblings, and friends, i.e., friends' heads, smash them to death, and cut off the perps' dicks and put them in their mouth. So
Good.
these were the ones betrayed. And these said, well, let's just atom bomb the whole town. So we did.
Yep.
Um, oh, this was in Taekwondo. Angie and Mary making fun of me practicing. We're going to blow up Angie and Mary's heads.
Okay. Fair enough.
And so that's all that. They just wanted to tell you. They were like, yeah, our prisons are done. So I can
Wow.
make them white again because green means yellow means to do it and green means to tell you. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
that. And again, like I said, if I had not done these pages of spiritual issues and stuff, like you can see in this incident, some had issues with their eyes, some did not. Or this is MK Ultra, distortion of theology. Not all of them, but these ones did. All of them rules and obligations because I was married to Satan now. I had to embrace it, or body issues. And I'm going to start colorizing their groups again so I can see, oh, well, you started off with, nose and mouth, and then it moved over to your eyes and ears, and then that went away. And, so it just, you see how each part has a different effect
Good.
on their
That-
body or their mind or their spirit. And that was fascinating to see. So we'll squish that. But here was what I worked on yesterday. I no longer have the big fat graphs with the whatever. I broke it down into age groups. So here's 0 to 2.
There you go.
This is the age of 3, 4, and this is where I started getting issues with my computer again and asked God to step in. 5. Now 6, watch this. I'm
Go.
thinking I might make this too. The first, like, cut it right here where SRA stopped and MK Ultra started. Because the only way to see the names, you can only see it half at a time. So I just thought, I was like, 6 years old was a big, big, big year for my being in the trauma zone. Look at this, only once when we got our dog did I have some happiness. 6 years old, I'm in first grade, it's just mind blowing. And then 7, I'm at training camp in the SRA, training camp in trafficking, actually. Yeah.
Diana, I don't know why it just came to my mind again that, and again, not to give you, it just, I'm throwing it out there. That I think it'll be a good intuitive kind of an opportunity for additional release. And so not feeling like an obligation, but at some point in time, if you extend that down to -20 and then see what happens.
I have thought about it. I was thinking maybe
Right, but don't
15.
view it as an obligation, right? I know somebody
Yeah, for
obviously went,
now,
"Oh."
yeah, for
But
now.
just
Like,
in time, I think what'll happen is as some parts
yeah,
are
it's
really,
like this one might drop down here and
there
the
you go.
rest
But
stay.
don't, that's right. Don't view it as, I have to, but just okay, giving yourself permission that every now and then as you stare at it, it's like,
The
you know what?
interesting, yeah,
Right, there you
yeah.
go. There you go. So it's
And
just giving
then,
permission rather than an obligation for yourself.
yeah, this is 9 years old. So the
Because
school
it'll
sisters,
really honor your pain. Um, because if you got a -15, it's really going to honor that part to allow them to fill that in, say, no, you know what, it's worse than that.
I know.
There you go.
Because because keeping it at a 10 makes the other parts think, well, and being raped in Scientology wasn't that big of a deal. But it
That's right. There
was.
you go. That's and
So they
so
reevaluate and say, well, I'm a 2 because they're a 10, when really they should be a 5 and a 15
there you
or
go.
something. So I agree with you.
There you go. But not
I
an
think that's
obligation. It's
right.
just honoring that. And you'll see they'll
Yeah.
fill it in. They'll fill it in as, oh, that
Yeah.
would be interesting to allow each one as you're tapping in because you've gotten so intuitive with them to allow them to readjust what number.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
And then, but the part I was thinking about that too, but then what the problem that comes in is I make that selection based on your chart in the wounded kids level with those descriptors. So is there a level below wounded child?
I think it's degrees of trauma. So that
So
would
wounded
be,
child would
that's
be from 7. Well, then that, no, that would shift all the numbers. So yeah, I'll have to play with it. That'll be a
yeah.
lot of mental
Yeah, because
energy.
or maybe it's like within the wounded child level, you've got some that are pushed down even further
And
because
they are,
there you go.
because some of the
There you go.
guardians are at 10
There
and
you
they're
go.
guarding people deeper. So
Correct.
I
There,
agree
there we go.
with you, yeah.
There we go.
So this is trafficking in Camp David and the wealthy people and all that. So here's 10, nothing. 11, nothing. Now this is when my mom, Pearl came around and started getting my mom to divorce my dad. And I'm wondering, is there stuff going on here? It's a big blank. When mom was getting divorced, was something happening that was just so horrific? Or did nothing happen? I don't know. So 12 and 13, I start
Wow,
school.
okay. When you said there's nothing, all of a sudden it's like, oh, there is nothing. So that'll be interesting, right? Because obviously something happened over the
Yeah,
just
I don't know if I feel like if there was safety and it was just front personalities or if something really massive happened because those are the divorce years, you know? So if dad just went off the rails and lost his mind and Jack went crazy too, I don't know. So
So
I,
is that when, meaning your mom took you guys and you moved? Your dad tried to meet you at the,
well,
okay,
when
so
I was 10 was the year she was divorcing him, and we had to go to his apartment for visitation. And then when I was 11, um, I think the divorce happened. We wound up in Iowa at say maybe age 11 and a half, had a little bit of summer, and then we started school. Because my birthday is right exactly when school starts. Well, for us, school started around before Labor Day,
yeah, yeah.
and my birthday is 2 weeks before that. So I just I think maybe age 11 might have been calm.
But during visit, you were actually, your mother, and again, we're just factually, so she gave you over to his custody for kind of joint
Well,
custody?
she had to. That was the
Yeah.
court order.
Okay, so that would be, yeah, I can only imagine what happened
I
then.
remember going to his apartment and him sitting us in front of the TV
Yeah, you know that he's not going to stop. So,
in
as
front
a
of an
matter of fact,
evangelist, and maybe Jack came and picked me up, and Dad had Angie and Mary, and I went off somewhere.
I see that
But
my,
that blew my mind where I was like, there's nothing at 10,
okay, so
nothing
there's
at
something
11.
because, if
Well,
trying to,
maybe these are the 11s, 12s, 13s, 14s, and 15s. I
okay,
mean,
okay. Right, because here's a couple things that had to have been going through the psychopath mind, your dad's mind. Okay, so things are beginning to unravel, kind of, right? Because the divorce wasn't supposed to be.
and he's chasing us to the state line with guns
That's
in
right.
his trunk.
That's right. So he had to shift strategies, but he's also going to double down, knowing that if you're away from his custody, then
I'm gonna decompress a little.
there you go. So the programming can begin to unravel, and he risks going to prison. So he would use that time to really reinforce, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
Because I
Um,
have no recollections of his apartment except sitting in front of the TV in front of televangelists for hours on end with Angie and Mary, and we're bored out of our mind. I remember nothing else.
yeah, so there's stuff because he's not going to miss that opportunity. That same intensity that he was at the border, now once he's got you without her around,
Yeah, yeah, and he's probably training Angie and Mary how to keep me in line.
okay.
Because if
So that,
maybe Jack comes and takes me away, does something more intensive, and Dad's got Angie and Mary to train them how to
yeah.
be my handlers.
Do you remember where that apartment was?
No, no, I do not. It was, I think it was 2 bedroom because it was required by the court.
Yeah.
And the three of us shared a room, and I was 11, Mary was 13, Angie was 14. So it
Was
might have
he,
even been a 3 bedroom.
was he still in a different state? Was he back in the other state?
No, we're still, Mom and me and Angie Mary still in the same house. Dad just went and had to move out and get an apartment. And I remember Joe did tell me that Dad would come to the house and Mom would have that teenage boy there, Dwayne, which Angie thinks Mom had sex with, but he was there to protect Mom and us from Dad.
Okay,
Remember
so
I said,
this is before she took you guys across state lines.
yeah, there was a good year of that.
Uh,
Yes.
okay,
Maybe a
yeah,
year and a half.
he's not
But
going to waste any time.
yeah, but I remember starting school, the beginning of the new year. We didn't start late. Seventh grade in Red Oak, and I remember we got there in the middle of the summer, maybe June or July. We lived with my her parents in their farmhouse for I think a month or two, and then mom, or no, maybe about 6 months, because then mom moved us to the farmhouse just down the road from them because they were renting it. And then after another 6 months, we moved into town. And so that was, this whole time period here. So yeah, this is the new school and being handled by my friend and her dad and the SRA and
Oh, okay.
getting the whatever. And then 14 to 17, I start working, going out and partying because I have my own money. I buy my own car at 16. Jack comes along, does his MK Ultra. They have that work accident with the girl in the incident. I get ostracized by my friends. And who is this? Tia. Oh yeah, my sisters have me do cocaine with them on my 18th birthday. And then I join the army, bam, back down into the trauma zone. I have a nice boyfriend. Um, and I think Jenny should be on here because
You're,
Jenny was his girlfriend, but also withholding affection because she didn't want him to be harmed. So I think oh yeah, so Gabby and Danica, I messed this up. These two are on both graphs, so I gotta move them. And then I put, yeah, because this is where, oh yeah, this is right. This is Fort Bliss, so they should not be on here. We'll just do that. So
if
this
you
is,
get that Mac, if you get the Mac in the program, you'll actually be able to take screenshots and then put
mhm.
them on that endless whiteboard.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then this is El Paso, back into the MK Ultra madness, the chimeras. And then when I leave the army, I baptize myself in the river. Don't know why, but now I do now. And then I get back to Milwaukee, go into the new age, get sucked into all that SRA with Star and Crystal Dreams, pull
Mhm.
myself out of it. Um, wind up in Texas, get a job, find my cats, or get
Oh,
my cats. That was the first love I felt was with my cats. My intuition is developing. I have the abortion, another the SRA incident with the gay people,
oh
and
yeah.
another abortion, and then back into the Buddhism and the chanting, and then that incident with the demon. But I also had that dream where Jesus baptized me in the dream. So all along the way, Jesus has been present, and this was God answering my prayer to dry out my car.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when I became conscious of Him as an adult. But I'm going diving into the new age, and there's astral projection and SRA and all that crap. But God said, I want you to know I'm still here.
That's right.
You know? And then I get out of there, go back to Milwaukee for a couple of years, have that crime with that incident. My security guard gets shot, join Scientology, get out of Scientology. My sister denies me the right to know my niece and nephew. These are my jobs where I'm a courier, or actually, this is where I quit and worked for myself right here. And then I meet Chris, which was great, but then we trigger, he triggers all my parts.
Yeah,
But when
that's
I'm
right.
not triggered, I'm having positive experiences. I discover Alan Watt and God compels me to transcribe. Dixie comes along and that was another gift from God. COVID happens. And then now I'm up here all the time. So it's I just think it's easier to look at it this way. I mean, I could put it all on one page, but um I just thought this was interesting when I got to hear. I'm like, oh, nothing. Oh, nothing.
That's an excellent point, right? So, okay, that'll be,
And this is the most turbulent time when a woman's trying to get out of a domestic abuse relationship, the most dangerous time. So I think you're right. I think Dad doubled down in
yeah.
his apartment. Well, my parts are telling me right now, no, Dad doubled down with Angie and Mary. Jack took me out. and did his stuff. So I think Dad trained Angie and Mary how to be my handlers. And I wouldn't have realized this if you hadn't brought up the fact that that they've known all along. And so I think this is where they were
So he's
trained.
causing that alignment. As a matter of fact, that's interesting because
And
if Jack's taking you, they're going to feel a certain kind of way. So he has to make it seem like they're getting the better end of the deal. So he probably took him out for ice cream. He probably did something while you're, because
gave
it's
them
sort of like, how
rewards
come
and
she
all
gets
that.
to go there? Well, we're spending a little,
Well, and he
you know,
probably put Angie on a pedestal, and because Mary's the lackey, so she's second best runner up. So Angie's probably getting, a plus 10 rewards, and Mary's getting plus 5 rewards because Mary has this incredible bitterness and competition with Angie. Their whole lives, they're just constantly at each other's throats. And
Mhm.
Angie's position is always lording over, and Mary's is always about fighting and clawing, and I look at it now and I can see the dynamic of it. And there was me always trying to make peace. And I realized now it was impossible. It was impossible. But that's what I guess maybe that was maybe part of my programming so that I would never catch on that they were my handlers. 'Cause it never crossed my mind until today, right now. They were my handlers. And I bet you that's what happened at 10 and 11. Because
which could,
I was still would have had School Sisters of Notre Dame there.
okay, which could take the form of, I could easily see what your dad's doing. He's pitting them against you. And so
And
it's
each
always
other, pitting them
okay, there,
against
there you
each
go. And
other.
it's always the carrot and the stick in a way. So the question is, you wonder what he would have told them as Jack's taking you. So it would have probably been a combination. They certainly he certainly is not going to make them feel like you're better than. So he's going to blame. It's, you know what, we'd all
Well,
be back.
they're already programmed that Angie's the head, Mary's the lackey, and I'm the victim. So they know I'm out there being abused.
But they're gonna he also would probably, the theme would be, she's a problem kid, or Uncle Jack's helping her get her act together. We could probably still be a family if it weren't for Diana, if it weren't. So
No,
there,
I think that's the programming that I got. We could still be a family if you just try to make peace between them.
and then
That's
you
what
can
my
imagine
parts are
he's saying
doing.
the same thing to them. So he's reinforcing.
But Angie and Mary never wanted to make peace, ever. I
No,
was
because
always the one doing that.
right, because he painted you as the prop to them.
Right, right, yeah. You know, yeah, because I remember they would look down at me with disdain in my teens and 20s because I was promiscuous and I was a slut and I was this and I was that. And I look at Angie now and think, well, who's the promiscuous slut now? You're not even married. You've never been married. You got an STD and you had to have a hysterectomy in your 30s. You can't even have children. I mean, but they always look down upon me as this slut, because I never tried to hide, never tried to put on a facade that this is my boyfriend. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm with this guy. I just, that was the truth. I couldn't pretend. Angie and Mary always had this pretense of their golden boy boyfriend, or Mary with her golden boy husband who's got the wealthy family and blah blah blah. And Angie's is always trying to claw her way up the business world, and it's just, you're right, I never put that together. They've known all along. They have known all along. And they have strung me along and strung me along and used me. And I'm always the one listening to them with their problems and their this and their successes, and never any interest in me. I mean, they'll put feign a little. Oh, so how was your birthday? Oh, that's nice. Well, let me tell you about my trip to
There,
Milwaukee.
there.
And
That's right.
I bought myself a $300 ring and happy birthday and Merry Christmas to me. I'm like, really? You couldn't have slapped me any harder? I'm like, it's my birthday. You couldn't have sent me flowers. Melissa sent me a plant, and she's got no money. She must have spent 70 or $100 just to mail me a plant in a pot with a delivery person. I was so touched. And I'm like, there's my sister. Happy birthday, and Merry Christmas to me. I was just flabbergasted. I'm like, Melissa makes under $10,000 a year, and she spent that on me. And I'm like, wow, wow, that was just gobsmacking to me. It's still, I feel like I'm slapped in the face every time I think about it. It's, I think you're right. I think you're 1,000% right. I just didn't want to go there yet. And that would explain my absolute rage and my failure in every attempt to make us a family, and mom's failure in every attempt to try to get us to come together. Because mom always tried too. But no, they're gone. They're out of my life. They're blocked. Joe is blocked. All that is done. Joe's not ever going to tell me what I need to know. He's going to tell me what he wants me to know and how Angie groomed him, and Angie's going to make mom look like however she's going to make mom look, because I know that mom would not have had a pedophilic relationship with a 17-year-old. I know it because her whole life as an adult after dad, she never dated anybody for 30 years, John. A woman who's going to have sex with a 17-year-old is going to continue to have boyfriend after boyfriend after boyfriend. So that was a blatant lie. Angie was sending me on a wild goose chase to cover her own ass. That's what that was about. Unbelievable. I don't say that, Diana. It's believable.
I keep saying it's a right. Oh, well,
Well, and
that's
I
it.
think that the media and commercials have trained us to do that. Something's just so in your face, they'll say, unbelievable. Well, no, it is believable. And I think they're training us to not believe it.
That's right.
Because when you say that, you're not believing it. It's a part that doesn't want to believe it. It's
It's
denying
beyond
your
belief.
intuition.
Surreal.
And incredible. Well, no, it is credible. So I try to correct myself when I say those words because I don't want that programming anymore. It's believable, it's credible, it's gobsmacking is what it is. It's mind blowing is what it is. It just
Yeah.
shifts. You just shifted my paradigm today. You shifted
Well,
my paradigm.
it came to mind, so I had to say it. So,
No, thank you. It's
Lord's faithful. Well, and maybe that's the piece then that'll help start to fill in.
the 10 and 11 years old. Because up until now, when I saw the graphs, all just the big hugeness of it, it never crossed. And I would put the names in the list and I go, well, there's nothing at 10 and 11. Oh, that must just be because things calmed down. But that was the same fallacy I told myself about Iowa. Remember how it was all lovely and peachy keen to come to discover no, there's MK Ultra,
So
there's SRA.
this will be very interesting today. Maybe this will be the focus for you today. If it's that blank, I mean, it is just
There's
blank.
nothing, nothing.
So that means somebody, right? I mean, for it to be blank, somebody on the
Well, I
inside.
just heard in my mind a part say, I don't know what part, but you were put in sensory deprivation tanks.
Okay, okay.
Wouldn't that be the absolute extreme in
Did you have ear
programming?
infection? Did you have ear infections and stuff?
My part's saying yes, but I don't remember them. Me, I don't. But the part said, yeah, yeah, we had ear problems. I used to have bladder infections all the time too. So, what do ear infections come from? The The
Uh,
headphones?
well, when you say sensory deprivation tanks, what do you mean by that? Describe that.
Well,
So,
like they put you in a coffin, like a device that would look like, a capsule pill, except human size. You're in water. You
see
you
that.
can't see, you can't hear, you can't feel
So
anything.
if the kid's moving his or her head around and stuff, water's going to get.
Oh, maybe. But that's just what popped into my head when you said
They
that.
wonder if you were to track the rate or how many ear infections you had over the years.
I don't remember having any at all, but the part said, yeah, yeah. I don't remember in Iowa at all, or as an adult. I do remember other survivors talking about they have ringing in their ears. Now I can hear tones, so maybe I have a heightened sense of
Susan can
hearing or something.
as well. Susan does.
Yeah, so I don't know what that would come from.
So that it'll be
Oh
interesting.
my God, John, and do you know when that turned on as an adult? Remember I told you I was taking a bath and thinking about why don't I hear the tones anymore? And then when I came up out of the water, I heard the tones. Maybe that's what that comes from. Oh my God. So the ages 10 and 11 have to be the worst.
Sit down.
Or
Right?
maybe mentally, maybe not sexually, but maybe mentally, physically. I don't know. Or maybe all of the above. Jack had just taken me to Camp David, and there was all
Oh,
that
is that during that time?
right before. And then I
Oh,
started calculating how to get mom to divorce dad. And those are the two blank years. But yeah, Camp David was just about
because
the last
okay, I'm just thinking.
major incident.
You think about the perps.
So here's 9. Yeah, here's Camp David Nixon. And then
Yeah.
we go into nothing.
Okay, because Diana, it has to be. They didn't count on your mother ever getting the rebar strength in her spine to divorce. Okay, so that means they had an issue, right? It's one of those things in the
Yeah,
Pentagon.
and how
You're
do
at the
we keep
right. All of a sudden
our
they say,
asset under control?
okay, so they have to shift gears then, because
Oh,
that means they don't
I'm
have.
exhausted just thinking about it. Like, oh my
So
goodness.
they shifted gears in what they were going to start to do because especially you've just been perped on by the President of the United States.
And
They
how
can't
does that not?
afford, so they can't afford to allow things to begin to unravel at that point.
Well, and it must be, I think they were grooming me to be what like Nathan Reynolds talks about is the seductive spy kind of
Hmm.
thing. And okay, so mom's pulling me out and they can't go there anymore. Well, how can we utilize her down the road? And that was the being a courier and them asking me to kill people from time to time, you know. So yeah, they didn't have those teenage years to really build up what they built up in Nathan Reynolds. They missed that window with me. So
But
what did
they
they
also
do?
they also have to make sure that you are never going to talk because your mother now has you or away from your father. So they
Hmm.
have to shift gears. This becomes more serious. So there are going to be more serious threats. They're going to,
Well, and
yeah.
they're even reaching into the town that I live in Iowa, having SRA still happen. Someone had to let that man know to send his daughter to school to befriend me and pull me into her father's home with she and her mother and her sibling. I think it was just another sister and him. They all knew what was going on at that dinner table. He's grabbing my ass and they're snickering. So someone had to reach in that town and get that family to do that. And then Jack is coming and doing, MK Ultra tune-ups at the dentist's office and at that kegger party where I tried to hide and failed, and then I go into the army and they reinforce it. you know, because I think that's what they were doing in Iowa, was to get me to go into the military so that they could do more of the same. And and Germany was about SRA. El Paso was about MK Ultra. That I determined that as well, the two different bases. And here's something else I want to show you real quick. I don't know what time it is, what pressures you've got going on. This
Let's take
was
about
my
10 more
last,
minutes. I can go to the top of the hour. Mhm.
okay. Okay, so we have 5 minutes. Here was my last email to Emma. Oh no, that was saying, when's the Zoom gonna happen? Oh, here it is. I said, my maiden name is Avers. The S at the end means son of. So I think my branch of the family may be a bastard son of the family or the real deal. I don't know. It's a big name in Belgium, and my father used to go there on business. We by no means have the dollars that go with the name, that's for sure. So I think bastard son. I just realized that I forgot to attach the coat of arms for the Aver family and Himmler's. I included Himmler's because I was abused at his castle in Germany while I was there in the army. They are so similar. I thought perhaps it was some kind of template, but I keep looking and I don't see others like this. The phrase on the top of the Aver crest means nothing truer than truth. Ha, they'll get my truth. And so I sent her the two. And it occurred to me, well, okay, if Gray is her boyfriend, maybe he's looking at this and they're thinking I'm a soci or I'm a Nazi or something, and that's why they backed off. But the fact that you're backing off of you makes me question it even more. That no, maybe it doesn't have anything to do with this Himmler thing like I thought. Maybe it has to do with the fact that we're over the target. And I mean, I don't want to badmouth her in any way, but I just cannot figure out why she would ghost me.
Yeah, I mean, she hasn't. I haven't gotten any even acknowledgement. I had simply said, "Hey, still working on this." Just wanted to touch.
Yeah, and the fact that, yeah, anyway, I lost that train of thought right there. Just the fact that, and right at this point in time, now her YouTube channel gets pulled, which gives her more legitimacy if you are controlled opposition, right? So, and I don't want to think the worst of them. And oh my goodness, up until 2 weeks ago, I was saying prayers of protection for her and Gray,
Yeah, yeah.
so I'm like, I don't get it. Why she would fixate on so all these weird things and say a Christian prayer, but not be Christian. And then have that sign behind her desk, SS, like in Germany, with a cross on its side. And Chris said, he goes, that's all I needed to see was that
And
picture.
I did ask her, and she says it's
Survivor
support
support.
survivor, right? But if I'm her,
Why have a cross on its side?
I would have removed that from the wall if somebody brought it to my attention. Like,
I know.
here's an example, unrelated, but I have a black shirt because apparently I look good in black. Okay.
Everybody looks good in black.
Okay, but I had forgotten. So here I start a session with someone who's a survivor, and you could tell
Did
it's
you get
like,
up and change?
right? I started to explain it, and so she was able to work through it, but I've never ever, I became very mindful then.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just,
So the
I
fact that
keep
she
thinking
has
about,
that on her wall, I would never have that on my wall. I mean, just in reality because of
well, and
that.
that's what Chris was like, he said all I needed to see was that picture there. He said that was enough for me. He said, but from time to time I would stop and watch. And he said the fascinating thing is she's interviewing somebody, but she doesn't say anything. She just lets them go on and on and on. I said, well, that's just her style. I said she'll jump in and ask questions. He's like, no, there's something wrong there. And I gotta trust Chris's street smarts. He can smell stuff before I do. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It really makes me question her legitimacy and how she would know anything about me in any way that would make her want to back off. is mind-blowing unless someone's in her ear. Right? Why me? Why not me? What's so different about me? What's so different about you? Or maybe her excuse for you is going to be well, the same one that Melissa has. Your controversy is just causing too
Well,
much.
that's actually what I told her. I said it doesn't make sense. I said, and that's what I told her. I said, let's put things on hold until I can tackle this. And that's why I was just touching base saying, hey, I'm still working
Yeah.
behind the scenes, still plugging away. But there was
Yeah.
no acknowledgement of my email.
Yeah. So we'll see. Time will tell.
That's right.
Like you said, maybe she's in the middle of a tornado, but even at this point, if she comes out of her tornado and things settle down and she reaches out, I'm gonna say, I'm sorry, you disrespected me too much.
Mhm.
I've watched you post every 3 days. No, I'm done. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't need you to give me legitimacy because I don't think you're legitimate. So I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But it smells bad.
Well, and she has explaining to do at the very least.
Well, yeah, for sure. Anyway, I know you got it's the top of the hour. I don't want to hold up your other person.
Well, let me pray, but listen, I'm very game for, and so maybe given the pace at which I'm still working on this thing,
Yeah,
maybe.
whenever, even if it takes you another 6 months or a year,
Well,
whenever.
no, no, hopefully,
I
oh
just
God,
thought your
you know,
information, I'd love
I'm
for you to
thinking.
do the talks about psychopathy and the consciousness levels. I don't know if you want to do it again or not, but I would definitely have different input than Emma did. I know that. So it might even be a better interview. I don't
I'm
know.
thinking hopefully the beginning of the new year. So why don't we think
Yeah.
in
All
terms?
right, cool. Yeah, I don't want to hold up your person. Thanks. I mean, we went
Uh,
3 hours, so I
okay,
mean,
no, it was good. It was good.
yeah.
Let me pray for us. Lord, thank you that Diana and I can spend time working through all this. And first of all, Lord, thank you for preserving her through the most hellacious of stuff. Lord, Satan has thrown as much as he could, and as he has at various kids, but just what she was subjected to. Thank you for your reminder that you are enraged on our behalf. So the fact that you were being impacted, and we don't understand, or the times that you didn't step in, but the knowledge that as they were harming her, they were harming you, and you were enraged on her behalf. And we'll trust, Lord, that you are meting out judgment on her dad, even now, forever, on her grandmother, on her grandfather. So thank you for that promise that the smoke of their torment, even when there's a new heaven and a new earth, that we'll still be able to see the smoke of their torment forever. So thank you for that knowledge. Lord, continue to oversee Diana's work, be very present with her in a very protective way, guard her computer, and so that her work isn't impacted or interrupted, and help facilitate her getting a new computer, but oversee just this very important work that she's doing. Lord, thank you that she and I could work together, and we'll continue to trust that you're going to use this in a very strategic way. Continue working on Chris. Thank you for your persistence. And so we'll trust that you're going to continue to open his eyes, heal his heart, so that he can be the man that you have called him to be. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Well, what is today? Tuesday?
Oh, yeah, I know. It all runs together, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
No,
All right.
Thursday.
Well, I'll see you on Friday. I hope you have a good week.
There you go. And we'll just keep progressing.
And thanks for the paradigm shift. That changes a lot. So
Oh,
thank
let me
you.
know. Yeah,
All
write to
right.
me.
God bless you and Susan and your work. Protect you. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Talking Friday. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Round and round, what color